Chapter 724, Phoenix Forest 2. You guys are finally willing to come out? Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Sigh. During this period of time, Chengwu and the rest had been secretly following them. They really thought she didn't know. She just didn't expose them. Hee. I knew I couldn't hide it from Mississippi, Chengwu said with an embarrassed smile. Although Miss and the others had already left when they were sober, they had finally caught up with Miss when they were in Moonview City. However, because they were afraid that Miss would chase them back, they never dared to show themselves. Miss am here too, Ningda said in embarrassment. The union has arranged everything, Lung Ruoxue said with some understanding. Yes. Ningda nodded obediently. Do you all want to join in the fight against these phoenixes? Lung Ruoxue asked the advisor. Yes. We haven't praised the phoenix yet, Chengwu said excitedly. He was so excited. If they didn't want to participate in this grand occasion, they would continue to secretly follow Miss. All right, then go beat up whoever you don't like. You're welcome, Lung Ruoxue said generously. All right, Miss, don't worry about us. We will find our own entertainment, Songdi hurriedly said. Then, they all headed towards their target, Feng Yun Shuer. They stole our opponent, the freak said with slight dissatisfaction. Humph. These people had made him the scapegoat in Moon-Gazing City. Now, they actually stole the enemy that he and Shuer had set their eyes on. This was too much. That's right. But who asked this old woman to have such poor social relations? Lung Ruoxue gloated. After that, she resigned herself to fate and pulled the monstrous genius to the side to watch the battle. Boo-hoo. Feng Yun had brought over 30 phoenixes, and there were nearly 100 people including Chengwu and the others who had appeared later. There were even more beasts, so they didn't even have a chance to attack. I want to beat him up too, Empty whispered with tears in his eyes. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruoxue's forehead. She thought in her heart, if you attack, then wouldn't her subordinates and beast men have fewer opportunities to train? So, you should just watch from the side. Oh, if they can't deal with you, then you're welcome to attack. Shuer, Empty said softly. Go beat up whoever you want. Lung Ruoxue said with a headache. Haha, then I won't hold back. Without finishing speaking, he ran to the battlefield to cause trouble. Master, what about us? Charm could not help but take the lead and ask. Boo-hoo. How could they not have a chance to attack? How regretful was that? You guys go too. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Thank you, Master. The demons and the other beastmen immediately rushed toward the battlefield upon hearing this. At this moment, only Lung Ruoxue, the freak, the little old man, and Icy were in the audience. In an instant, the situation on the battlefield changed. Every single phoenix was surrounded by over 10 beasts, and they either utilized mystic techniques, grabbed, or bit. In short, there was nothing that one couldn't think of and couldn't see. On the other hand, Feng Yun was in an even more miserable state. She was surrounded by almost 30 mystic sovereigns, and not only was she unable to split herself apart, she was even attacked by various profound techniques from all directions. Her originally bright and beautiful clothes had already become tattered at this moment, and her hair was even more disheveled while her face was covered in bruises. Damn it! Where did you all come from? Feng Yun saw that he was being besieged by more than 30 mystic sovereigns. He was furious. This was clearly bullying. You're the one who should die. You old hag. Song Di mimicked Feng Zhan. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. You. Feng Yun was so angry that she was at a loss for words. Her ample chest was heaving up and down. Unfortunately, the man in front of her had turned a blind eye. And even stupid old woman. You're already so old. Why are you still wandering around? You're disgusting, Chengwu said viciously. Feng Yun was angered to the point of vomiting blood. Her phoenix eyes fiercely glared at Chengwu, but he couldn't say anything. Boss, you're amazing, said one of the mystic sovereigns. It's no big deal. Old woman, don't look at me like that. I don't like you, Chengwu said angrily. Feng Yuan was angered to the point of vomiting blood. But he could only stare at Chengwu. Phoenix blood is also a good thing. Don't waste it. The quick-witted Long Ruoxue took out a jade bottle and caught Feng Yuan's blood. Then, she said very frugally, "Miss, give me the bottle." Chengwu said, "Okay." After Long Ruoxue said that, she threw the jade bottle towards Chengwu. After Chengwu caught the bottle, he maliciously smiled and took out a dagger. Then, he stabbed towards Feng Yuan's body without any mercy. However, he never thought that he would actually stab into Feng Yuan's but, you're courting death." Feng Yuan cried out, feeling endless pain. "My family's young miss said that phoenix blood is a good thing. Since you're going to die anyway, don't waste your blood," Chengwu said matter-of-factly. Hearing Chengwu's words, Feng Yuan was both angry and in pain. But she couldn't help but look at him with a vigilant expression, afraid that he would stab her in the back. At the same time, she had to guard against the sneak attacks of others. At this time, she could absolutely be considered to be facing enemies from both sides, impossible to defend against. "Everyone, let's finish this quickly. Don't delay eating." Long Ruoxue suddenly reminded as she looked at the sky. Long Ruoxue's words were unanimously echoed by everyone. Thus, they were even more ruthless in their attacks. As for Feng Yuan's side, they had been completely beaten up. The itching fans from before had already caused their attack power to greatly decrease, so their fighting spirit had also become increasingly low, and this scene greatly stimulated some people who were secretly watching from the shadows. Originally, because the difference in strength between the two sides was too great, many people didn't think highly of Long Ruoxue's side. However, they never thought that Long Ruoxue and the others would continue to abuse the clansmen that Feng Yuan brought. Moreover, it was a one-sided battle. Boo-hoo. To most people, this kind of battle was unimaginable. Chapter 725, Phoenix Forest 3. After a long time. The clansmen that Feng Yuan brought no longer had the slightest bit of combat strength. All of them lay on the ground with wounds all over their bodies. As for Feng Yuan, she was in an even more miserable state. The current her was no longer human. "You're quite durable." Seeing that the battle was almost over, Long Ruoxue came to Feng Yuan's side and kicked her. Long Ruoxue's kick was neither light nor heavy. However, it was this strength path kick that caused Feng Yuan to turn back into his beast form. "Do any of you want to contract this dying bird?" Long Ruoxue pointed at the dying Feng Yuan. No. Everyone shook their heads like a rattle drum. No one was willing to take in Feng Yuan, who had poor affinity. "Oh, then which one of you wants to contract these 30 over phoenixes?" Long Ruoxue looked at Fengda, Chengwu, and the others and asked, "Young lady, Chengwu and the others' beasts aren't very good. Why don't you give them a contract?" Fengda and the others looked at each other before he spoke on behalf of everyone. No need. It's better for you to sign a contract. This can increase your strength." Chengwu and the others quickly rejected. However, their hearts were warm. Boo-hoo. The people around this were also understanding. "All right, you don't have to give way. This time, I made the decision to contract these 30-plus beasts for Chengwu and the others. Coincidentally, their numbers are about the same as yours. They were prepared for you. Haha. As for Fengda and the others, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future," Long Ruoxue said fairly. In fact, she felt that Fengda and the others all had dragons, while Chengwu and the others' beasts were indeed lacking, so she decided to give them the beasts. "Thank you, Mississippi." Chengwu and the others saw that their miss had made the decision and no longer refused. They looked gratefully at Long Ruoxue, Fengda, and the others. Wah! These were all transcendent divine beasts of the 8th and 9th ranks, and they were the strongest of the Phoenix clan. However, Miss and Fengda had chosen to give them to them without even blinking. How could they not be moved? "We're on the same side. There's no need to stand on ceremony," Long Ruoxue indifferently replied. Ever since she guessed that they had followed her here, she knew that these people had already made up their minds to follow her. Furthermore, she was more and more satisfied with Chengwu and the rest. Hence, she no longer had the intention to reject them. After speaking, Long Ruoxue stored the 30-plus phoenixes into her bracelet, leaving Feng Yun alone outside. Humph! She wasn't stupid enough to tame these beast men in front of those hidden eyes. The current her was already in the limelight, so it was better to keep a low profile. What should we do with Feng Yun? Long Ruoxue looked at the big red bird lying on the ground. Master, of course we kill it, Feng Zhan hurriedly suggested. He didn't have a good impression of this old woman, so he naturally didn't care about this fellow's life. Blackie, can you eat this bird? Long Ruoxue looked at the black python lying on the ground.
Yes.
The black python nodded as it looked at Feng Yun, who was around its eyes. Then eat it. Maybe you can advance to a 9th-level transcendent divine beasts. Long Ruoxue thought for a moment and said, Oh, killing Feng Yun would be a bit wasteful, so it would be better to give her beast some nourishment. After all, this phoenix meat was one of the best supplements. Thank you, Master, but I don't think it's a good idea for me to eat alone, the black python said in embarrassment. It's okay. Hurry and eat. Long Ruoxue urged. Yeah, boss, hurry up and eat. All the pythons echoed. Last time, the two phoenix bosses did not eat much. Since there was such an opportunity this time, they naturally did not want boss to let it go. That's right. Quickly eat. Feng Zhan roared impatiently. All right then. The black python wriggled its way to Feng Yun's side. Then, it opened its huge mouth and swallowed Feng Yun whole. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Seeing this, Long Ruoxue kept all the beast into her bracelet and led everyone into the shop. In the guest room, Long Ruoxue brought Feng Da, Qing Wu, and the others into the bracelet. Inside, she tamed the 30 or so phoenixes that she had brought in. After that, she instructed Qing Wu and the others to sign a master-servant contract with them. Afterwards, she led everyone on their way. As Long Ruoxue and the others had left stealthily, the Shadow League did not receive any news. Hence, when they tried to approach Long Ruoxue the next day, it was already too late. The room was already empty. They left without saying goodbye, causing the higher-ups of the Shadow League to almost vomit blood. And at this time, the news of Long Ruoxue and the others taking care of the Phoenix clan had already spread throughout the Boundless Heaven continent. For a time, the various parties were in an uproar and did not react uniformly 3 days later. Long Ruoxue and the others had once again stolen the limelight. They didn't know how shocking their actions were, but they had come to the territory of the Phoenix clan in an extremely low-profile manner. And their purpose in coming to the Phoenix clan was naturally to subdue the Phoenix clan. In truth, Long Ruoxue was also afraid that the people of the Phoenix clan would cause trouble for her in order to take revenge for Feng Yun, so she decided to strike first to gain the upper hand. After all, she didn't like being remembered by others. Outside the Phoenix clan's territory, Feng Yao, does your clan live here? Long Ruoxue asked as she looked at the inconspicuous grove. Yes. This place is called Phoenix Forest, and it was chosen by the seniors of the Phoenix clan. It's far away from the sphere of influence of humans, and it's both quiet and undisturbed. So, for thousands of years, our Phoenix clan has always lived here. Feng Miao explained. Alas, after being away from home for so many days, she had finally returned. To be honest, she was actually a little timid. After all, when she left back then, she mostly wanted to escape. Then let's go in. I can't wait to see how this Realm Phoenix clan is doing. Long Ruoxue said very curiously. Then let's go. Feng Miao said helplessly. After saying that, she walked in front of Long Ruoxue and the others, leading them into the Phoenix Forest. Even though there were many trees planted outside the Phoenix Forest, those trees were obviously not parasol trees. The deeper one went into the Phoenix Forest, the more one could feel the scorching fire attribute spiritual chi inside. Master, the fire attribute spiritual chi here is quite dense. It's not a bad place even though it can't be compared to the Phoenix nest I used to live in. Feng Zhan, who was standing on Long Ruoxue's shoulder, commented. Chapter 726. Phoenix Forest 4. It looks quite ordinary from the outside, but inside, It does look like a place where phoenixes reside. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Stop right there. Feng Miao, how dare you bring a human back to the phoenix forest without permission? All of a sudden, a delicate voice sounded in Long Ruoxue and the others' ears. Hearing this shout, Long Ruoxue and the others couldn't help but look at Feng Miao, while Feng Miao's face turned red from their slightly teasing gaze. Ignore her. Let's go in. Feng Miao said helplessly. Sigh. There were some self-righteous people in the Feng clan. Their levels were obviously not high, but they always felt that they were superior to others. Okay, if you say so, then so be it. Lung Ruoxue gave Feng Miao face and said, then they continued to follow Feng Miao. Seeing that she couldn't stop Lung Ruoxue and the others, the voice angrily appeared in front of them. Stop right there. You're not allowed to go any further. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. A beautiful woman with a sexy figure shouted. How do you want to be impolite? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes lightly swept over the beautiful woman in front of her and asked curiously, oh, this fire phoenix wouldn't think that it could do anything to them just because it had the strength of a rank 2 transcendent divine beast, right? Or was it that she was very confident in the few escorts behind her? If you take another step forward, it'll make you regret it. The woman spoke with confidence. Haha. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly, as if she had heard something funny. Then, she turned to Feng Miao and said, Feng Miao, is this how all the members of the Feng clan behave? According to Lung Ruoxue's knowledge, the hierarchy of the beast world was very strict. Furthermore, it placed great importance on bloodline. But the Phoenix clan in the boundless heaven continent that she saw was just like those clans in the human world. Inside, it was filled with mutual deception and scheming. Sigh. Compared to her own cute and simple beasts, she was disappointed in the Phoenix clan in this world. Otherwise, she would not only let Chengwu and the others sign master-servant contracts with those captives. Miss, Feng Miao didn't know what to say. In fact, the Phoenix clan in the past wasn't like this. However, ever since Feng Yun became the previous clan head, the atmosphere in the clan had changed. Thus, many phoenixes who looked down on Feng Yun chose to go into seclusion out of helplessness. Sigh. Wasn't this also a manifestation of avoiding responsibility? Little Meow Meow, even though the dog blocked the way, you still have to think of a way to bring us in. Feng Zhan reminded. And Feng Miao nodded. Then, with a light raise of an arm, she sent Feng Linger and the others who were blocking her way into the distance, directly giving way. Plop, plop. Following a few loud sounds, Feng Linger and the others fell to the ground. She widened her phoenix eyes in disbelief and glared at Feng Miao. Feng Miao, how dare you treat me like this? How dare you? Feng Linger, didn't the first elder teach you what respect and seniority is? You're only a second-level transcendent divine beast, yet you actually dare to be impudent in front of me. You really don't know the meaning of death. Feng Miao questioned loudly. The aura of an expert on her body was instantly displayed, and the pressure of her bloodline made Feng Linger and the others unable to breathe if it was in the past. Perhaps Feng Miao would have ignored their provocation. However, it was different now. Since she had already abandoned the dark and toured to the light, these Phoenix clan members could only be considered passers-by or enemies before Miss subdued them. Therefore, there was naturally no need for him to be polite to them. Feng Miao, you're just a traitor of the Phoenix clan. How dare you cause trouble in the territory of the Phoenix clan? I think you're the one who doesn't know the difference between life and death. Feng Linger wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and said indignantly, If it was in the past, she would really be a little afraid of Feng Miao, much less speak to her like this. However, ever since Feng Miao was deemed a traitor by the clan leader, many of the clan members who had once been jealous of Feng Miao felt that there was no need to be afraid of her anymore. Otherwise, how would she dare to stop Feng Miao? Patriarch, didn't the first elder tell you that Feng Yun is already dead? Feng Miao asked with a faint smile. Hee, I really didn't expect that big black python to be so hardworking. After eating Feng Yun, it actually advanced to become a level 9 super divine beast. This is definitely good news for them. Not only that, before that big black python advanced, Miss even made it sign a life contract with Feng Moran. And Feng Moran also advanced to become a mystic sovereign because of the big black python's advancement. What? How is this possible? Feng Linger and the others were stunned. It took them a long time to recover from their shock. What's impossible about it? You'll eventually die if you get older, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Then, she released a trace of green profound energy from her fingertips and tied Fenglinger and the others into dumplings. Lung Ruoxue looked at Fenglinger and the others with dissatisfaction. She couldn't help but complain. These phoenixes are too weak. Why don't they eat meat? Her standards were getting higher and higher. She didn't plan to let her subordinates contract the transcendent divine beasts below level 7, and the highest level of these phoenixes was only level 5. However, she didn't want to slowly raise them. Oh, it was really difficult, Lung Ruoxue's brows were knitted together in a dilemma. Schwer, even though you despise them, others will treat them as good stuff. Why don't you tame them and sell them? With their status and strength, they can definitely be sold for a good price, suggested Wu Qing with a smile. Master, this won't do. Even though I don't like them, they're still members of the Phoenix clan. How could they fall into the hands of another? So, you should just kill them. Feng Zhan hurriedly stopped him. Oh, what it meant was that since Master didn't like them, then they could only be killed. In short, they couldn't fall into the hands of an outsider. Then let's kill it and eat it. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head. Oh, she always said she wanted to eat a phoenix, but this goal had never been achieved. In reality, a phoenix was just a big-sized turkey. It didn't matter. She couldn't help but comfort herself. Actually, she could not bring herself to say anything about a beast that could already transform into a human form. Hence, she could only say something. Sob. Why was she so kind? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Chapter 727. Miss, do I smell? 1. Master. Kill these phoenixes and leave their blood. Let those pythons eat the meat. Charm lying in Lung Ruoxue's arms suggested. Boo-hoo, it was the same as Master. It didn't like to eat beasts that could take human form. Its meat would grow old. Charm's suggestion is not bad. Lung Ruoxue stroked Charm's soft fur and agreed. Hee. Charm is really understanding. How dare you? Fenglinger almost vomited blood when she heard Lung Ruoxue and the others' discussion. However, her body was tied up too tightly, so she couldn't resist even if she wanted to. However, she believed in the strength of the Phoenix clan. At the same time, she didn't believe Feng Miao's words. In short, she was very certain that these humans wouldn't dare to touch them. Moreover, these damned humans dared to treat them like this. She would definitely teach them a lesson later. What's there to be afraid of? I've already eaten Feng Yun for my own beast, let alone you weak little phoenixes. Sigh. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my beast's teeth. Lung Ruoxue said in disdain. You're lying. The clan head is powerful. How could he be eaten by your beast? Fenglinger was still unconvinced. Linger, what she said might very well be true. At this moment, a young man who was also tied up spoke softly. How did you know? Fenglinger ignored Lung Ruoxue and the others and asked directly. When I went to the elder conference yesterday, I accidentally heard those elders say that the Patriarch's soul tablet had already shattered. None of the other clansmen that the Patriarch took away returned. However, their lives shouldn't be in danger, the young man explained. You all really killed the clan chief? Fenglinger did not believe the words of Lung Ruoxue and the others, but she had no choice but to believe the words of her guardian angel. She knew very well that these people would not dare to say anything to her. So, after knowing that it was most likely true, she became a bit afraid. Of course, only Feng Yun died. The other phoenixes were all contracted by my subordinates. After all, with their strength, it's not bad to be a meat shield or something like that. But you guys, your strength is too low. You don't even have the chance to be a hired thug. You can only be my beast snack. Lung Ruoxue said with a wicked smile. No, I don't want to die. Don't eat me. I'm willing to be your slave. I'll do anything as long as you don't eat me. Suddenly, A young man begged with tears in his eyes. Boo-hoo. He felt that he was only standing behind Fenglinger and wasn't disrespecting these people. So, he didn't want to die. But, your strength is too low. It really doesn't have much use to us. Lung Ruashu didn't like these little phoenixes at all. Humph. Who asked her to hate this kind of second generation who relied on their power to bully others. TM willing to be a slave and a slave. As long as you're willing to let me live. The young man continued begging. Oh, Fengzhan, this fellow is the most sensible phoenix clan I've ever seen. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped from Long Ruaksha's forehead as she said speechlessly. Oh, this was the first time she'd seen such a cowardly phoenix clan. Today, her horizons had been broadened. Master, since this fellow wants to work like a slave, then hand him over to me for a good round of training. Fengzhan laughed evilly. All right then, Fengzhan, let him learn our rules. Lung Ruashue waved her hand, and the young man was released from his restraints. On the other hand, Fengzhan flew over to the young man and chanted a few incantations. After that, the young man's eyes flashed before he bowed respectfully to Fengzhan. Greetings, Your Majesty. Report the situation within the Phoenix clan to my master. Fengzhan commanded. Earlier, Head utilized a contract that only the members of the royal clan of the Phoenix clan knew about, and it could be considered a form of contract between master and servant. This sort of contract was usually utilized to restrain the members of the side branches of the Phoenix clan. After all, there were many branches in the Phoenix clan, and no one could guarantee that every side branch would be loyal to the Imperial clan. At the time, his queen mother had been too trusting of those branches, and that was why Shed ended up being sealed. Now, he naturally wouldn't give these side branches any chance to betray her. Yes, Your Majesty. The young man nodded, and then continued. 3 days ago, Feng Yun took away a group of phoenixes and said that he wanted to avenge his daughter and son-in-law. However, he hasn't returned until now, and Feng Lin said that Feng Yun has already died. However, most of the clansmen still don't know about her death. As for the elders, they've always closed their doors and refused to see any of my clansmen. Tell me about the current strength of the Phoenix clan, Fengzhan said with dissatisfaction. Sigh. This servant was just too stupid to say anything useless. Right now, in the Phoenix clan, besides the elders of the Council of Elders, a portion of the other clansmen are level 7 or 8 transcendent divine beasts. However, most of them are level 4 or 5 like me. The man continued to explain. Many of the Phoenix clan's powerful transcendent divine beasts had been taken away by Feng Yun 3 days ago. Therefore, the strongest people in the Phoenix clan should be the elders of the Council of Elders. They were basically level 8 or 9 transcendent divine beasts. Of course, he didn't count those who had been sleeping. Damn it, why do you keep saying useless things? Fengzhan couldn't bear it anymore and roared. He really doubted the intelligence of this servant of his. Chapter 728. Miss, am I stinky? 2. That day, when I went to the Elder Conference, I unintentionally heard them say that Feng Yun had died. Furthermore, the Elder Conference has divided into 2 opinions. Those who have a good relationship with Feng Yun are in favor of avenging her. The other person is proposing to choose a new generation patriarch. Currently, they are in a deadlock. Feng Lin thought for a moment before speaking. Other people, why don't you agree to take revenge? Lung Ruashue asked curiously. Oh, I heard the Feng clan is very united. They don't like Feng Yun. Those clansmen are almost all elders left behind by the patriarch. So, Feng Lin looked at Feng Miao and hesitated to speak. Oh, Feng Miao, we'll give you a task. Get those clansmen who are dissatisfied with Feng Yun for me. If they know what's good for them, I will definitely not treat them badly. Otherwise, they can only be servants. Lung Ruashue instructed. Oh, since the Feng clan is not on good terms, this is a good opportunity for them. Miss, I'm not very familiar with them, Feng Miao said with some difficulty. Other than cultivation, socializing was her weakness. Woo. So it's like that. That Feng Lin, right? They'll give you a chance to make a contribution. Whether or not you can catch him will depend on yourself. Long Ruoxue furrowed her brows in thought, then pointed at the young man. Please rest assured, Mississippi. I will definitely cooperate with Feng Miao to do this. Feng Lin hurriedly promised. Your Majesty, I can cooperate as well. Feng Zhan's new servant also hurriedly expressed his opinion. Boo-hoo. It was really too unfair. Why was Feng Lin's treatment so different from his? Feng Zhan, take that Feng Lin as your subordinate. Long Ruoxue raised her hand, and Feng Lin was released from his restraints. All right, master. After Feng Zhan said that, he also recited a few incantations. Humph. The Feng clan in the vast heaven continent still couldn't believe it too much. Better safe than sorry. Greetings, Your Majesty, Feng Lin said respectfully. Yes, all of you heard what my master said, right? Quickly go do this. Feng Zhan glanced at his servant and Feng Lin. Yes, the two of them replied extremely politely. After signing the contract with Feng Zhan, they did not dare to show any disrespect to him. Miss, they'll bring you guys to my place first. Feng Miao saw that she had helpers and felt relieved. She then said to Long Ruoxue and the others. And Long Ruoxue nodded. Then, she followed Feng Miao deeper into the Phoenix Forest. Feng Linger and the other two men were still tied up. Not only that, Long Ruoxue also summoned Big Harry and Air Mao. The two of them carried the three men and walked in together. After walking for about half an hour, Long Ruoxue and the others arrived at a forest filled with parasol trees. Little Meow Meow, is this where you live? Feng Zhan couldn't help but ask curiously as he looked at the incomparably huge and luxuriant towering trees in front of him. Oh, their clan's habit was to use the number of sycamore trees to determine their position in the clan. Since Feng Miao was able to live in a place with so many sycamore trees, her position in the clan was definitely 1 to 2. No, to be more precise, Feng Miao was able to live here because of her mother. After all, her mother was the head of the clan. This is the residence of our clan's clan chief. Was able to live here because I borrowed mother's light. Feng Miao said with a bit of self-mockery. This was the place with the densest fire attribute spiritual energy in the Phoenix Forest, and also the residence of their Phoenix clan's previous clan chief. Feng Yun had wanted to live here more than once, but unfortunately, he had never succeeded. Who asked Feng Yun to only be the substitute clan chief? The parasol trees here didn't recognize her identity. Oh, only the clan leader can live here? Then will we not be allowed to enter these trees? Feng De asked worriedly. These parasol trees that had lived for a long time basically all had tree spirits, and they were not familiar with them. If they were really rejected outside the trees, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? They want. With me leading you, they will let you through. Feng Miao chuckled. Then, she said a few words in the Phoenix language to the parasol trees, and they automatically opened up a path for her. Hee, they're really obedient. Feng De said excitedly. Feng De, don't embarrass yourself, all right? It's not like you haven't seen those sycamore trees that I live in. Feng Zhan spoke with slight speechlessness. The Phoenix clan and the sycamore trees were companions, so as long as they allowed it, the sycamore trees naturally wouldn't refuse. So, it was normal for these trees to let them pass. Hee, the trees you live in have never stopped us. That's why I'm curious. Vonda scratched his head and said in embarrassment. Haha, let's go in. Feng Miao snickered. The people around the young miss were really too cute, much cuter than some people of the Feng clan. And Long Ruoxue and the others nodded and followed Feng Miao in. After they entered, the road behind them returned to normal and disappeared. Miss, it's so hot here. Peach Lu wiped the sweat off her forehead and said, unable to bear it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. This place is filled with fire attribute spiritual energy. If you aren't fire attribute, you will naturally feel hot, Long Ruoxue analyzed. Miss, you guys can stay here as you wish. We'll go talk to those people with them first. After Feng Miao brought Long Ruoxue and the others into her own residence, she left them alone. Hee, because she knew very well that Miss and the others would take good care of her. Go. Long Ruoxue nodded her head, then turned to the thickest Chinese parasol tree and ordered, Tie these 3 people to your tree trunk. Don't let them escape. The giant tree nodded its head and shook its branches. Then, it extended a branch that was as thick as an adult's arm and firmly tied Fenglinger and the others to its trunk. Wow, miss, you're so amazing. This tree actually listens to you. Green Bamboo looked at Long Ruoxue with admiration. Her bright eyes were filled with stars. Needless to say, even these trees can't resist our young Miss Charm, Fengde said matter-of-factly. The others nodded their heads in agreement. It was obvious that their admiration for Long Ruoxue had reached an unattainable height. Chapter 729. Miss, do I smell? 3. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruoxue's forehead, and her beautiful face was filled with speechlessness. Sigh. Her subordinates were too exaggerated. If outsiders heard these words, they would definitely laugh at them. In reality, she only had a slight connection with that tree. She really didn't do anything. Actually, this was something Long Ruoxue did not know. Her natural affinity, regardless of whether it was to animals or plants, was extremely attractive. Otherwise, the king of plants like Little Fire Ginseng and Little Fire Ginseng would not like her so much, and these trees were the same. After all, almost all of them had a tree spirit. So Long Ruoxue's attraction to them was no less than that of the Phoenix clan, which had always depended on them. In fact, it seemed to be stronger. Hence, they could not reject Long Ruoxue's request. Damn it, you traitors of the Phoenix clan. How dare you listen to those humans and treat us like this? Fenglinger was furious when she saw that she was tied to a tree trunk by a Chinese parasol tree. Damn it, who said that these trees were the best friends of the Phoenix clan? They were obviously lying to children. If they were really friends of the Phoenix clan, would these dead trees treat her like this? In fact, she had really wronged these trees. The sycamore trees were indeed the best friends of the Phoenix clan, but no one could replace them. And now, someone who made the sycamore trees feel closer to them had suddenly appeared. That was why the sycamore trees listened to Long Ruoxue. After all, they were very simple tree spirits who only knew how to respect the thoughts in their hearts. Big Harry, shut her mouth. Long Ruoxue couldn't stand it any longer. Fenglinger had acted quite obediently before entering this place. Sigh. In such a short amount of time, this woman could no longer continue acting. Yes, miss. Big Harry obediently walked over to Fenglinger and the other 2 who were tied up on the tree trunk. It was in a difficult position. Oh, what should it use? It didn't have anything suitable on hand. Don't you dare. You stinky dead bear. Stay away from me. Fenglinger couldn't help but shout loudly. The smell of these 2 bears was just too unbearable. She didn't want to faint from the smell. It turned out that the reason why Fenglinger didn't say a word along the way wasn't because she was pretending to be obedient. Rather, it was because she had been affected by the 2 hairy beasts' scent. Smelly? Where? Big Harry was stunned and asked in confusion. It stinks everywhere. Every part of my body stinks. Fenglinger roared in anger. Moreover, the bear was too close to her, making her feel a bit dizzy. Miss, do I stink? Big Harry's eyes were filled with tears as it turned its head and asked pitifully. It doesn't smell bad. However, she had a bad habit. When she took the initiative, if the other party didn't grasp the opportunity, then she wouldn't give the other party another chance. Thinking of this, she turned to Feng Lin and said, Go tell those ignorant birds that I won't beg them to acknowledge me as their master. However, they'll only give them 3 days to consider. I won't wait. Yes, Feng Lin hurriedly replied. Alas, he knew that the king's master wouldn't be satisfied. However, he was slightly puzzled as well. Why didn't the king allow them to reveal its identity? If those traditional and conservative elders knew that the king was a member of the royal clan, they would definitely agree. Unfortunately, the king didn't allow them to say anything. After receiving Long Ruoxue's order, Feng Lin turned around and left. Feng Miao, you guys go and rest first, Long Ruoxue said. Chapter 730. Holding out hope until faced with the grim reality. 1. Yes, Mississippi. Feng Miao was a little upset. Sob. After seeing Lung Ruoxu's reaction, she knew Miss wasn't satisfied with what she did. After Feng Miao heard Lung Ruoxu's words, she went back to her own place gloomily. Shuer, didn't you already expect such an outcome? After Feng Miao left, Wu Qing smiled and said, in fact, he was very clear about the mentality of those high-end beasts. How could those arrogant fellows be willing to be contracted by humans? Therefore, unless there were sufficient benefits, those beastmen that had almost been assimilated by humans would not easily agree. Actually, it's good that they don't agree. I can practice now. Lung Ruoxue smiled. Previously, when she asked Feng Miao to negotiate, it was just to be polite before resorting to force. In reality, she didn't care about the result at all. That's right. There are so many phoenixes in the Phoenix clan. I can beat them up to my heart's content. Wu Shang smiled. I've never beaten up a phoenix before, the freak said half-jokingly. Miss, didn't you give them 3 days to think about it? What if they agree? Zhang Yin couldn't stand it any longer and reminded her. Sigh. Half a day had not even passed and Miss and company were already discussing how to beat up those phoenixes. Those unlucky phoenixes were really too pitiful. They were actually targeted by Mississippi. With this in mind, he felt some pity for those firebirds. Don't worry, those noble phoenixes with a sense of superiority will not agree. Oh, Zhang Yin, when the time comes, I will also get you a level 9 super divine beast to be your servant. Lung Ruoxue guaranteed. The Phoenix clan had so many clansmen, so her subordinates should be enough to split them. Even though those phoenixes were a little tactless, she was still very satisfied with their numbers. Even though the Phoenix clan in this world did not have as many clansmen as Feng Zhan, there were nearly 1,000 of them. Miss, I don't need a level 9 one. I'm already very satisfied with a level 8 transcendent divine beast. My biggest wish now is to advance to Mystic Sovereign. Boo-hoo. Mo ran clearly cultivated as a mystic cultivator later than me, but he's already a mystic sovereign, Zheng Yin said enviously. Don't be anxious. Aren't you going to advance soon? Lung Ruoxue hurriedly consoled. Sigh. Big Brother Feng was just lucky. Coincidentally, there was a beast that advanced to the 9th level transcendent divine beasts. Otherwise, Big Brother Feng would also need some time to advance. Yes, soon. I can feel the barrier now, but am still lacking an opportunity. Zheng Yin nodded. Silly boy, eat more of the spiritual fruits in the space. When the spiritual aura is saturated, you'll naturally advance, suggested the little old man who was listening to their conversation. Master, I eat it every day, but I really can't eat it now. Zhang Yin said with a bitter face. Boo. I can't stand eating too many spirit fruits. Zheng Yan, the fire attribute here is very dense. Cultivate well for the next few days. You might be able to advance in 3 days, Lung Ruoxue reminded. For fire attribute mystic cultivators, this place could absolutely be considered heaven. Furthermore, not everyone could cultivate in the Phoenix clan's territory. Miss, actually, I prefer to cultivate in space, Zheng Yin said honestly. Even though the fire attribute's spiritual energy here could be directly absorbed without changing into one's own attribute, the spiritual energy here was not as dense as in Miss Space. Then enter the space. 3 days later, we will have another battle. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Miss, I must participate in the battle in 3 days. Zhang Yin requested. He had not had enough fun fighting the Phoenix clan last time. Don't worry, there were too few Feng clan members last time. This time, all of you will have a chance. Lung Ruoxue smiled and promised. Girl, you can't leave this old man behind. The little old man quickly said. His expression was extremely nervous, as if he was afraid Lung Ruoxue would forget about him. Yes. Don't worry, Grandpa we are now at the base camp of the Phoenix clan. There are many phoenixes here, Lung Ruoxue promised. Amen. The people present nodded repeatedly. 3 days passed quickly. For the past 3 days, Zhang Yin had been cultivating diligently in the space. 3 days later, when Zheng Yin came out of the space, he finally became a mystic sovereign as he wished. Congratulations. Lung Ruoxue looked at Zheng Yin, who had just had his breakthrough, and said happily. Har, she had another mystic sovereign by her side. Their strength had increased again. Thank you, miss, Zheng Yin said happily. In the past, his focus was on alchemy, which was why his cultivation as a mystic cultivator advanced so slowly. However, he was finally a mystic sovereign now. Boo-hoo. I'm so happy. Heh. The higher your strength, the happier I am. This way, you guys can protect me. Lung Ruoxue said with a face full of anticipation. It feels pretty good to be a manager who does nothing. Miss, Zheng'an was a little speechless. Sigh. Miss is being unreasonable again. He really couldn't do anything to her. Actually, he really wanted to say that they could protect her now. Even though there weren't many people around Miss, they were all elites in his eyes. Especially Cheng Wu and the others, all of them were mystic sovereign. In addition to Miss terrifying beasts, before others wanted to bully his Miss, they'd better weigh their own worth first. Haha. Lung Ruoxue laughed awkwardly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Oh, Mystic Sovereign. When can I reach that level? At this moment, Feng De looked at Zheng'an, his eyes shining with envy as he muttered to himself. Don't be anxious. You will also make a breakthrough soon. Zheng Yin also used the same words to comfort Feng De and the others. The event even advanced yet. Why are you guys so anxious? Lung Ruoxue glared and pretended to be unhappy. Young miss, didn't you just say that the stronger we are, the more we can protect you? Feng De rolled his eyes and reminded. That's right. When your strength becomes stronger, I will be able to wash my hands off everything and focus on being a rice worm. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with expectation. Swear, don't you want to be an expert? A worm can't become an expert. Empty reminded helplessly. TCH, what I mean is that after I become strong, I can focus on being a rice worm. I didn't say now. Lung Ruoxue quibbled. Chapter 731. Holding out hope until faced with the grim reality. 2. In. After we all become experts above everyone else, Schwer just needs to be a rice worm. I will feed Schwer every day. The freak promised. Hee. You are still the most obedient, Lung Ruoxue said in satisfaction. Then, she patted the freak's head like she was petting a puppy. That's for sure. The freak almost raised his tail from the praise. Oh, okay, let's get down to business. Lung Ruoxue cleared her throat and stopped joking with them. Miss, when are we going to make a move? Cheng Wu asked impatiently. He knew that Miss had given those phoenixes 3 days to consider, but now, 3 days had passed. However, those phoenixes who didn't keep their promises didn't give them any reply. Miss being willing to accept them was because she thought highly of them. Those dead birds really didn't know what was good for them. Ever since he found out about the Miss Mysterious Space, Cheng Wu and the others' respect for Lung Ruoxue had risen to a whole new level. Moreover, he would never forget the shock he felt when he first saw the space. He had never thought that he could still live in a space similar to the storage ring. Moreover, the spirit chi inside was so dense that it was almost solid. Sigh. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to beat up those suicidal firebirds, he wouldn't even be willing to come out from inside. Right away, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. In her heart, she sighed helplessly. Sigh. These battle maniacs. As soon as they heard that there was going to be a fight, they actually couldn't wait any longer. However, for the past 3 days, the Phoenix clan hadn't been peaceful. Their arrival had attracted the attention of the elders who were on good terms with Feng Yun. Furthermore, those phoenixes had tried to barge in more than once to avenge Feng Yun. Unfortunately, they were all blocked outside by the parasol tree. Should we go out now? Feng De asked. He knew that there was a phoenix monitoring outside their residence. However, the young lady did not give any orders, so the person monitoring them was naturally ignored. Let's go out. Lung Ruoxue nodded and said to everyone. All right. Everyone agreed excitedly. They were already prepared. They were just waiting for Miss Order. Lung Ruoxue was very satisfied with everyone's high spirits. Then, She sent a voice transmission to the parasol trees that had been protecting them from the outside world for the past 3 days. After receiving the order, the parasol trees revealed their path. After Long Ruoxue and the others walked out of their residence along the small path, they saw the phoenix guarding outside the forest. There were a total of 5 phoenixes monitoring them. Seeing them come out, one of them immediately went back to report, while the other 4 looked at them very vigilantly. These phoenixes weren't very strong, about level 4 or 5. Long Ruoxue looked at the serious expressions on their faces and held back her smile. She said lightly, "Are you the bodyguards arranged by the Phoenix clan? Thank you for your hard work." The phoenixes that were about 10 meters away from Long Ruoxue and the others were depressed. "Boo-hoo. The Phoenix clan does not welcome you. We are here to monitor you." Unfortunately, none of them dared to say this because they were afraid that they would become hostages like Fenglinger. "Little Phoenix, I think you guys are quite smart. Oh, do you guys want to surrender yourselves? Or do you want me to use force?" Long Ruoxue asked in a good mood. Even though the Phoenix clan had been playing tricks on her for the past 3 days, she still had to thank these firebirds for finding fun for her. Otherwise, she would definitely be bored. Moreover, almost all of the sycamore trees in the Phoenix forest had been turned against her. Hee, didn't those phoenixes want to capture her? Then she would have no choice but to steal from the Phoenix clan. As long as she gave the order, these Phoenix clans would become the first Phoenix clan in history to be abandoned by the sycamore trees. Of course, those poor phoenixes still didn't know about this. After hearing Long Ruoxue's words, the phoenixes were dumbfounded. However, most of them did not know what to do because they had never seen such a confident human being. One had to know that this was the territory of the Phoenix clan. However, these humans had the attitude of turning the guest into the host, as if they were the guests. Boo-hoo, how could this be? They could not understand. There won't be a shop like this after we pass this village. Long Ruoxue continued to tempt Little Red Riding Hood, as if she was a big bad wolf trying to seduce Little Red Riding Hood. Surrender, the youngest phoenix said in a low voice. Boo-hoo. For some reason, this human gave it a lot of pressure. It was even greater than the tribe leader. Furthermore, its idol, Feng Miao, was also with this human. That was why it wanted to surrender. "You are very smart," Long Ruoxue praised. Lamb also willing to surrender. The other phoenixes couldn't hold on any longer and announced their own decisions one after another after someone took the lead. Boo-hoo. They had already heard that Feng Yun Patriarch had died at the hands of these humans, and they weren't willing to die like Feng Yun, so they could only surrender. Just like that, under the wise decision of these phoenixes, Long Ruoxue effortlessly subdued these phoenixes that were not very strong and handed them over to the Feng Zhan to contract. As for Feng Zhan, who had the most underlings, he naturally wouldn't refuse such a good thing. By the time the first elder of the Phoenix clan arrived with her clansmen, the people she had sent to keep an eye on Long Ruoxue had already become Long Ruoxue's property. When she saw what had happened, she almost vomited blood. She cursed inwardly. Damn, these humans were really fast. It had only been a few minutes. Her clansmen had no backbone. Humph. You humans who don't know life from death, quickly release my daughter and I'll spare your lives. Otherwise, don't even think about walking out of this Phoenix forest. The first elder was angry, and her aura would not lose to anyone. Humph. If it weren't for those trees, she would have saved her daughter a long time ago and wouldn't be in such a passive state now. Damn it. She really couldn't understand why those parasol trees were protecting Long Ruoxue and the others. They were the beasts that depended on the parasol tree. Hence, this fact made her feel extremely unfair. Chapter 732. Holding out hope until faced with the grim reality. 3. Old woman, you'd better worry about your own life and death. We don't need your mercy. Feng De said with a venomous tongue, his face clearly still carrying a provocative smile. Old woman? Damn it, who are you talking about? The first elder instantly became even more furious when she heard herself being called an old woman. Fuck. She was so young and beautiful, so beautiful that it could topple kingdoms. How did she look like an old woman? What kind of taste did this human have? Of course I'm talking about you, Fengde repeated kindly. However, he could not help but feel uneasy in his heart. He really did not expect this beast to care so much about her appearance. How am I old? I'm not even 1,000 years old. The first elder couldn't help but emphasize. Her beautiful face was so angry that it was changing color. Less than 1,000 years old? How is that not old at all? Fengde rolled his eyes and said speechlessly. She was about to become a 1,000-year-old demon, yet this old woman still refused to face reality. First elder, you mustered such a large force. Could it be that you're only here to discuss your age with us? Long Ruoxue held back her laughter and pretended to be confused as she asked. Sigh. Any woman would lose their composure when it came to age. It seemed even beasts were no exception. Of course not. First elder hurriedly denied. Damn it. After being disturbed by this human, she was so angry that she even forgot the proper business. Then what are you waiting for? If you don't make a move, I'm going to make the first move. Long Ruoxue was very particular. Before she started to beat them up, she even notified them so that they wouldn't feel too unsatisfied. Human, you are really too arrogant. Die. After the first elder finished speaking, she signaled her subordinates to attack. Long Ruoxue and the others who were already prepared also took out their beast at the same time. Ready to attack. 10th elder. How could you all? First elder looked at the beasts that Chengwu and the others summoned and was instantly somewhat dumbfounded. Damn it. These clansmen had clearly already become the contracted beasts of these humans from the look on their faces. But how was this possible? According to what she knew, in the boundless heaven continent, there was simply no beast tamer who could tame her clansmen. First elder, don't force yourself anymore. Surrender. There's no benefit in going against them. The 10th elder advised with good intentions. Sigh. If first elder insisted on doing things her way, she would probably end up in a worse state than them. I'm not going to embarrass the Phoenix clan like you. You want me to work like a slave for the human race? Dream on. The first elder said stubbornly, looking down on the clansmen who had already defected. Sigh. First elder, I've already tried to persuade you, but I can't do anything about it if you don't listen to me, the 10th elder said in a speechless manner. Boo-hoo. How was this voluntary surrendering to the enemy? It was clearly impossible to choose, but unfortunately, he didn't dare say these words in front of that little demon. Do it. Long Ruoxue ordered lightly. Charge. Fengde shouted. Then, he took the lead and charged into the battlefield. The others followed closely behind. In an instant, the two sides started fighting on Long Ruoxue's side. The principle of group attack was still firmly established. However, this time, the first elder had brought almost half of the Phoenix clan's strength, so there was no situation of dozens of beasts attacking the same Phoenix. As for Long Ruoxue and the others, the greatest benefit of having more opponents was that they also had a chance to beat someone up. This time, the freak and her each found an opponent to beat up. Icy, who had not fought for a long time, also jumped into the middle of the battlefield, bullying, kicking, and playing happily. In an instant, all sorts of profound energy flew through the air like beams of light, and the parasol trees that didn't want to be affected by the battle tacitly cast a barrier to protect themselves, so as to avoid being accidentally injured by the phoenix whose eyes had turned red from killing. The gains would not make up for the losses. After all, they were trees. Even though they liked the fire attribute, they were also very afraid of fire. After Long Ruoxue finished dealing with one of her opponents, she stood at the side and watched the battle for a while. As for the beastmen that had been beaten black and blue by her subordinates and beastmen, they were all sent into her space. In the space, she specially asked Qingju to set up a cell to imprison these beastmen. Schwer, let's go deal with that old woman. If I'm not wrong, there should be a phoenix coming to die later. After beating his opponent half to death, the freak walked to Long Ruoxue's side with the level 8 transcendent divine beast in his hand. Freak, aren't you a little too heavy-handed? Long Ruoxue was a little speechless as she spoke. He forced this transcendent divine beast to fight with its real body and ended up beaten up like a pig head. It could be seen how ruthless the freak was. Hee hee. I thought that this level 8 beast would be very strong. Who knew that it wouldn't be able to take a beating? The freak was very disappointed as he said this. His face was full of tve been tricked by it. Haha. Long Ruoxue laughed happily seeing the freak's depressed expressio. She took the phoenix from the freak's hand and threw it into the space cell. On the other side, the first elder of the Phoenix clan watched as the number of clan members on the battlefield decreased. She was so angry that she almost went berserk. Damn it! Where were her clansmen? She wanted to see them if they were alive, and if they were dead, she wanted to see their corpses. However, all her clansmen had mysteriously disappeared. Could it be that all her clansmen had been put into the beast cages? She could not help but guess. However, she really wanted to know how many beast cages these people had to prepare to store so many beasts. Long Ruoxue and the freak were right in front of the first elder. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. What do you want to do? The first elder asked with a face full of vigilance. Boo-hoo. She was too confident when she came. She thought that these humans would be captured quickly. However, she did not expect that the captured ones were her own clansmen. This made her unable to accept it for a moment. Thus, when she looked at Long Ruoxue, there was a trace of fear that even she did not notice. Don't be afraid. I just want to spar with you. Long Ruoxue consoled her kindly. Oh, she didn't like opponents who threw themselves into chaos before the battle. If that happened, there would be no sense of accomplishment. The first elder looked at Long Ruoxue with a face full of confidence until she recalled her fierce performance with the man in front of her on the battlefield just now. Her heart trembled. Even though she really wanted to refuse their spar, she couldn't say it out loud. Boo-hoo. The pressure was too great. Chapter 733. Holding out hope until faced with the grim reality. 4. Shue'er. The first elder has agreed. Let's make our move. The freak laughed softly as he looked at the first elder who was silent. And Long Ruoxue nodded. Then, the two of them attacked at the same time. Two streaks of mystic power, one red and one black, floated in front of the first elder. Furthermore, their speed was not very fast, enough for the first elder to dodge. However, the first elder, whose reaction had suddenly become a bit slow, could not dodge entirely and even suffered some injuries. This caused Long Ruoxue, who was looking forward to battling the mystic supremacy, to be somewhat disappointed. Since she was already disappointed, Long Ruoxue naturally didn't want to waste any more time. Just now, Qingju had already sent a voice transmission to her, telling her that another phoenix was rushing over. Furthermore, it should arrive in a few minutes, so she felt that she could end this quickly. Long Ruoxue gave the evildoer a look when she thought of this. After that, the two of them consecutively used several profound techniques. In the blink of an eye, red and black-colored profound energy tightly wrapped around the Feng clan's first elder. Damn it. What the hell is this? The first elder couldn't help but curse as she looked at the red and black-colored mystic power that was entangled around her body and tied her up. Haha, this is a new mystic supremacy developed by me and the freak. It's called Never Leave. You're the first beast that I use it on. You must be very happy. Long Ruoxue said with a smile. Oh, looks like this new mystic technique of theirs was quite useful. Even a mystic supremacy was unable to break free. During these past 3 days, the freak and her had randomly thought of such a technique out of boredom. However, never had they imagined that the effect would actually be so good. After all, the technique Never Leave was modified according to the high grade would attribute mystic technique bind. So, they weren't confident in its effect. However, they really didn't care about whether it was good or bad. What they cared about was that they possessed this mystic technique together, and only the two of them were able to complete it together. Let go of me, you guys. This is an unfair victory, the first elder said, unable to accept it. Boo-hoo. She had not even made a move yet. How could she lose like this? This result was really unbearable for her. TCH, if we win, we win. Just accept the truth. After Long Ruoxue finished speaking, she directly threw the first elder into the space cell. Then, she cleaned up the remaining phoenixes. After cleaning them up, she stood in place and waited for the arrival of the other phoenixes. A moment later, another several hundred phoenixes arrived, led by the 17th elder of the Council of Elders. When the 17th elder arrived with his men, he only saw the humans Feng Miao mentioned. He didn't see any of his clansmen. Where did all his clansmen go? Although he and the first elder were not on good terms in politics, they were still of the same clan. Thus, he naturally did not want to see them fall into the hands of humans. Otherwise, he would not have hurriedly gathered his clansmen to rush over after receiving the news. But where was the first elder and the others? Why didn't he even see the feather of a phoenix? The 17th elder was puzzled. Even though he had heard from Feng Miao that these humans were very powerful, due to his bad impression of the deeply rooted humans, he didn't believe Feng Miao's words at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made the wrong decision. In fact, he was a little arrogant. He had always thought that Long Ruoxue was able to kill Feng Yun because of good luck, and with Feng Miao's help, he had never planned to avenge Feng Yun. However, he couldn't just leave those clansmen behind. Miss Long, is it? May I know where my clansmen have gone? The 17th elder asked politely, but his heart was in turmoil. They are now my captives and have been locked up by me. Long Ruoxue smiled lightly. Oh, this handsome man who looked to be in his 30s should be the Phoenix clan's 17th elder. In these 3 days, she had also learned about the situation of many phoenixes with high status in the clan, including this guy. What? Just as Long Ruoxue's voice fell, the 17th elder and the other members of the Phoenix clan couldn't help but take a deep breath. They were afraid that they had heard wrongly. Then, they looked at Long Ruoxue with disbelief. After all, in order to capture them alive, the first elder had brought nearly half of his clansmen. Moreover, there was no lack of 8th and 9th level legendary beasts among them. The first elder was even more powerful and her cultivation was above Feng Yun's. So, they really didn't expect to hear such a result. How could the proud Phoenix clan endure this? 17th elder, Miss words are all true. You'd better believe it. Feng Miao said coldly. Actually, she was also very angry at the 17th elder and the others for being immoral. Therefore, she naturally did not intend to put in a good word for them, who asked these people to not shed a tear until they saw the coffin. How is this possible? Feng Miao, I watched you grow up. You can't lie to me. The 17th elder reminded and even started to form a bridge. TM telling the truth. Believe it or not. Feng Miao said unhappily. Her temper was famous in the clan. Therefore, before she was designated as a traitor of the Feng clan by Feng Yun, other than Feng Xian, no other clansman dared to provoke her. However, after she became a traitor, some people who only dared to secretly envy her in private no longer had any scruples. Feng Linger was the best example. Hence, she had been suppressing her anger these past few days, and just as she was worried that she had not finished venting her anger, another person fearlessly came to her door. Right now, you all only have 2 choices. One is to surrender, and the other is to use force. Long Ruoxue repeated what she said to the first elder Hehe. She was talking about surrendering, not surrendering. This was naturally different in terms of status. Miss Long, why don't we have a good talk? The 17th elder said with a troubled expression. Boo-hoo. He didn't want to surrender, but he didn't want to use force either. Actually, he was very clear about the strength of the clansmen he had brought. He seemed to have brought more people than the first elder had brought earlier, but in terms of strength, he was incomparable to the clansmen that the first elder had brought over. The first elder had been completely annihilated, so he really didn't dare to guarantee that the clansmen he had brought would be able to escape unscathed. Therefore, it was naturally the best if they didn't fight. Tunder what the 17th elder wants to talk about? Long Ruoxue said with a smile that was not a smile. The word ridicule was written on her beautiful face. These fellows who don't know what's good for them. 3 days ago, she sent people to rope them in and gave them 3 days to consider. They didn't even give her an answer. Now, they actually want to talk to her. It's really too laughable. However, she was still kind enough to see what this old phoenix was planning. Chapter 734. Holding out hope until faced with the grim reality. 5. Miss Long. If I'm willing to bring my clansmen to acknowledge you as my master, I wonder what benefits we can obtain? The 17th elder asked somewhat embarrassedly. 3 days ago, when Feng Miao came to look for him, she had already said that she hoped they would acknowledge Long Ruoxue as their master. She had even said that this was a great thing and that they would regret it if they rejected her. However, at that time, he had tried to trick them for half a day, but Feng Miao did not say anything. This made him a little angry, so he casually brushed them off and did not give these humans a reply. However, now he knew that it was impossible not to give them an answer. Furthermore, almost half of their clansmen were still in their hands. However, even if he wanted to acknowledge her as his master, he had to fight for sufficient benefits for his clansmen. Moreover, he was truly curious exactly what ability this young human woman before him possessed to make them willingly acknowledge her as their master. After all, they were from the Phoenix clan. So, how could ordinary beasts compare to them? At this very moment, the Phoenix clan's lofty sense of superiority still occupied their thoughts. And this was also the common understanding of all humans in the boundless heaven continent apart from Long Ruoxue and the others and the beastmen. However, this 17th elder would soon know that in Long Ruoxue's eyes, all the beastmen were equal. However, this did not include the Phoenix clan in the boundless heaven continent that had angered her. 17th elder, if I remember correctly, I only gave you 3 days to consider this matter. It's already been a long time. Don't you think it's a bit too late to discuss this with me now? Long Ruoxue said in an extremely cold tone. She would usually only give them one chance. If she couldn't grasp it, then she naturally wouldn't have another chance in the future. But it's only the 4th day. We've thought about it for 3 days, and we'll give you an answer on the 4th day. Isn't the timing just right? The 17th elder quibbled. First elder, do you have too many deals with humans? Long Ruoxue mocked. This old man was playing word games with her and playing dirty tricks with her. A simple beast had learned all the tricks of humans who didn't keep their promises. No wonder the Phoenix clan was taken down so easily. We do have a lot of dealings with humans, but that doesn't stop us from making deals with each other, the 17th elder promised while feigning ignorance. However, he couldn't help but feel uneasy in his heart. This girl was actually so sharp-tongued at such a young age. She didn't even use vulgarities when she scolded others. Boo-hoo. The language of humans was really broad and profound. Fortunately, he usually preferred to study the things of humans. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have been able to hear the sarcasm in her words. However, under the current circumstances, he could only continue feigning ignorance until the end. 17th elder, I will only give you one chance. Right now, you no longer have any chance to bargain. You only have 2 choices. One is to surrender, and the other is to fight. Long Ruoxue saw that this old man who had lived for an unknown amount of time was acting stupid, so she could only be more straightforward to prevent him from continuing to pretend. Miss Long, don't be like this. If there's anything, we can have a good talk, the 17th elder said with a chuckle, his attitude very good. Old man, it's too late. Since you guys aren't willing to surrender, then let's not waste time and just fight. Long Ruoxue said straightforwardly. Don't be rash, Miss Long. Fighting is a barbaric act. We're all polite children. It's better to resolve this matter in a civilized manner, the 17th elder said in a hurry. In any case, he didn't want to be tortured. He didn't want to take the risk of losing the first elder and the others. Sob. The Phoenix clan was getting worse by the day. Isn't this world where the strong are respected? If we don't use force, how can you be convinced? Furthermore, martial force is also the fastest solution. So, 17th elder, take this direction of 17th elder. After Long Ruoxue finished speaking, she directly threw a light blue-colored water attribute profound energy in the How can you hit me just like that? The 17th elder hurriedly jumped aside and dodged that water attribute, profound energy attack. However, there was still a portion of water droplets that touched his body, and it was so painful that he couldn't help but cry out softly, "Woo! What kind of water was this? Why did it hurt so much?" Furthermore, the water droplet even carried a frightening cold aura. One had to know that he was a fire attribute beast, so the thing he hated the most was naturally water. However, not to mention water attribute profound energy, even water attribute profound techniques would find it very difficult to injure him. However, Long Ruaksha's profound energy caused him to feel pain. This was truly inconceivable. However, the other clansmen who were also affected were much more miserable than him. Sai, who asked those clansmen to have such low strength. What else? Long Ruashua looked at the 17th elder with a bit of amusement, as if what she heard was a joke. Actually, she really didn't use too much force just now. Otherwise, those little phoenixes that were affected would have long been frozen into ice. Can we not fight? The 17th elder's handsome face was full of charm as he smiled and said, "Boo-hoo." Long Ruaksha's display of power earlier actually made him feel a lingering fear. This was not a good sign, so he really did not want to fight. "Sure." Long Ruashua nodded her head. Just as the 17th elder was about to heave a sigh of relief, she added, "You can choose to surrender yourselves. Can I choose the third option?" The 17th elder refused to give up. "I'm sorry, there's no third option." Long Ruashua sneered. She did not want to waste any more words with this old man who was pretending to be a fool, so she gave everyone a look. Everyone understood and immediately surrounded the 17th elder and the other phoenixes. The beasts were still baring their teeth and glaring at them like a tiger watching its prey sob. The 17th elder and the other members of the Phoenix clan were very upset. They were actually afraid of these people or beasts who were weaker than them but were threatening them. The 17th elder exchanged glances with the other elders and said helplessly, "We surrender." Sob. Those who know the truth are the elites. Surrendering is better than being beaten up and then being captured. At least they didn't suffer any physical pain. The 17th elder kept hypnotizing himself and consoling himself. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Chapter 735. The Dragon Clan That Followed Suit. 1. In. Long Ruashua calmly nodded her head, as if she had already expected them to be like this. Oh, she liked people who knew their own limits. So, even though this 17th elder was a bit slippery, he wasn't hopeless. The 17th elder and the others were extremely surprised by Long Ruaksha's indifference. They couldn't understand why this human girl in front of them was so used to their surrender. If it was any other human, wouldn't they have fainted from happiness? Later on, when they had a deeper understanding of Long Ruashua, they found out that many beasts sent themselves to her doorstep. So, she really didn't care about their existence. Fengzhan, contract them first? Long Ruashua looked at Fengzhan, who was standing on her shoulder, and said, "Amen." Fengzhan nodded, and then he chanted a string of incantations. The 17th elder and the other phoenixes were instantly enveloped by a circle of light, and then they lowered their proud heads towards Fengzhan. This subordinate pays his respects to the king. The 17th elder and the other phoenixes said in unison, hiding the shock in their hearts. None of them had expected that this fire phoenix in front of them actually had the bloodline of the royal family. Sai. In. Master, the 8th and 9th rank transcendent divine beasts have been contracted by Fengda and the others, right? Fengzhan spoke. With the enhancement of his will, he did not even need Master to use beast-taming techniques anymore. This discovery was something he had unintentionally discovered during the last few times he had used the contract. All phoenixes that had been contracted by him could not resist his will at all, even if their ranks were higher than his. This was the benefit of having a bloodline. All right, Fengda, go and choose the beast you want to contract. Long Ruashua said to Fengda and the others. With Feng Zhan and Feng Das double contract, these phoenixes can forget about playing any tricks.
Yes.
Feng Da, Zheng In, and the rest answered happily. Then, they each went forward to choose a level 9 transcendent divine beast that they found pleasing to the eye and signed a master-servant contract. Grandfather, why aren't you guys going? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but be surprised when she saw that her grandfather, Grandpa Du, brother, and brother Feng didn't go up to pick. Haha, Schwer, there's no hurry. Let them choose first. Lung Qingtian chuckled. With so many phoenixes, it didn't matter if they chose first or later. Miss, we are done choosing. Feng Da and the others said with embarrassment. Grandfather, go and choose. Lung Ruoxue smiled. Okay. Lung Qingtian and the rest walked forward and casually chose a level 9 transcendent divine beasts to sign a master-servant contract. Then, they returned to Lung Ruoxue's side. Lung Ruoxue looked at the other beasts, then looked at Empty before saying, Empty, you're not choosing a contract? No need, I only need icy. Empty said indifferently. Oh. Lung Ruoxue helplessly replied. Sigh. Why did it seem as if the people around her were very unwilling to enter into contracts? If it were someone else, with such a good contract opportunity, they would have long fainted from happiness. No one actually contracted the 17th elder. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat when she saw the aggrieved look on the 17th elder's face. She thought to herself, what's with that old man's expression? It's just that he hasn't been contracted. Is there a need to be so pitiful? However, with the level 8 or 9 transcendent divine beasts of the Phoenix clan, their strength has increased by more than a little. Moreover, with these beasts, she believed that she would have the strength to fight even against the 3 super clans. Therefore, the most important thing to do now was to improve their strength. Otherwise, if they were too weak, they would be a burden. Thinking of this, Lung Ruoxue decided to let everyone go into seclusion for now. However, she still had something to do before she went into seclusion. Lung Ruoxue thought for a moment, then she took out the phoenix she had locked in the space cell. When Feng Zhan saw them, he didn't even need his master's reminder and immediately entered the contract. Greetings, Your Majesty. The first elder and the other phoenixes who had been contracted by Feng Zhan bowed very respectfully. Yes. In consideration of your performance, all of you can only be servants in the future. Feng Zhan spoke in a cold voice while revealing the imposing aura of a king. Yes, the first elder of the Phoenix clan said in a hurry. Sob. She had accepted being a servant since she was the ruler. However, she had never expected to see the royal family of the Phoenix clan in this world. This might be a rare opportunity for them. After doing all of this, Lung Ruoxue moved all the phoenixes into the space. Besides those that had already recognized their masters, the other phoenixes were naturally managed by Feng Zhan. After that, she told everyone her plan and received everyone's response. Oh, they also felt that their strength was a little weak now, so they had long wanted to go into seclusion and cultivate properly. Just like that, Lung Ruoxue and the others went into seclusion, and the Phoenix Forest temporarily regained its peace 3 months after their seclusion. Lin Liang and the others came out. After Lin Liang and the others came out of seclusion, they heard that Lung Ruoxue and the others had gone into seclusion. They couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. Boo-hoo. It's been so long since I've seen them. I wonder when I'll see them again. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Within the Heaven and Earth Bracelet. Empty. How strong is the last now? The disheveled old man asked curiously. Ever since he came out of seclusion, he had advanced 2 levels consecutively and consumed the silver snow pills that Schwer had left for them. Now, he was already a mystic monarch. How wonderful. Before they entered into closed-door cultivation, their strengths were the same as all of you. It would be hard to say after they came out of closed-door cultivation. Empty smiled as he spoke. These old men had just advanced to Tish Mystic Monarch realm and were feeling happy in their hearts. However, they probably wouldn't be able to laugh after hearing his words, right? He guessed. That can't be, right? Why aren't those perverts waiting for us? The disheveled old man and the others could not help but grumble. They were depressed, extremely depressed. Boo-hoo. They had finally become mystic monarch after much difficulty, but by the time Schwer and those perverts came out of seclusion, they might have advanced again. Also, that old fellow Long Qingtian had advanced faster than them. Boo-hoo. Sigh. They were depressed, but so was Long Qingtian. He originally wanted to show off to his old friends, but the plan didn't change quickly. In order to not drag everyone down, he could only work hard to cultivate in seclusion. Chapter 736. The Dragon Clan that followed suit, 2. Hee. Actually, you don't have to be too depressed. Schwer left you a gift before she went into seclusion. Empty smiled mysteriously. What gift? The few of them were full of curiosity. They had just come out of seclusion and were in a hurry to advance after coming out, so they really did not know much about Schwer and the others' recent actions. Feng Zhan. Empty called out softly. Not long after, Feng Zhan brought the 8 and 9 level transcendent divine beasts in his hand to their side. Where did these phoenixes come from? Little Feng, did you add new members? Lin Liang looked at the unfathomably powerful phoenixes in front of him, his face filled with question marks. They did not know any of these phoenixes, so he was very sure that these phoenixes were new. With this in mind, he could not help but be curious about the recent happenings of Schwer and company. Hehe, that's right. They are all my servants. Master instructed for you to contract as you wish. You can sign a master-servant contract with them. In the future, they will be your servants. Feng Zhan explained with a grin. Our servants? Lin Liang and the others were all experienced, so how could they not understand Feng Zhan's words? Oh, it seemed that these phoenixes had provoked their little princess. Otherwise, with Schwer's degree of love for animals, how could she let them sign a master-servant contract? However, since these ignorant phoenixes had angered their little ancestor, then it was only right for them to receive some punishment. Thus, their thoughts destined these unlucky phoenixes to work like cows and horses in the future. Yes. Feng Zhan nodded. Hee, since that's the case, I want stand on ceremony then. The disheveled old man rubbed his palms together and said excitedly. Hee. Even though these phoenixes weren't obedient, they were pretty. He could have a beautiful beast now. However, who knew that the disheveled old man's thoughts would incur the displeasure of his beastmen? Master, you're despising us. The disheveled old man's beast spirit sent a voice transmission with an aggrieved expression. Boo-hoo. Even though they weren't as pretty as those phoenixes, their relationship with Master was definitely deeper than those phoenixes. That damned phoenix wanted to fight for their favor the moment he arrived. He was dead meat. No, I'm not despising you guys. The disheveled old man hurriedly consoled them after hearing their words. Boo, he really didn't. Boo-hoo. The beasts cried bitterly. Don't Airy, don't cry. I won't take in any more servants, all right? The disheveled old man said helplessly. Boo-hoo. Even though he could not bear to part with it, a lousy phoenix was not as important as his beasts. No, the beasts said in unison. If their master didn't take in a phoenix as a servant, who would they bully? The disheveled old man was conflicted. He could not stop crying. What did they want from him? Master, why don't you take in a phoenix and become our subordinates? The beastmen suggested. Even though the phoenix in front of them was stronger than them, the phoenix came later. All right, the disheveled old man agreed before turning his gaze towards the phoenixes before him. Oh, as long as these beasts were happy, everyone would be biased. Lin Liang and the others surrounded the phoenix in front of them and looked at it several times. Then, they finally each chose a phoenix to contract, Your Majesty. Why didn't anyone choose me? Looking at the contracted phoenixes with slight jealousy, the 17th elder said with a gloomy face. Boo-hoo. Even though there was no longer any threat of death in this space, if they didn't have a master, they could only rely on themselves to advance. Boo-hoo. This would be very slow. So, He also wanted to find a master, but no one was willing to take him. So sad. What's the rush? Someone will definitely take a liking to you. Right. How's the matter I asked you to handle? Fengzhan asked. Awakening the patriarch and elders is a long process, so I still need time. The 17th elder said hurriedly. Don't be lazy. The sycamore trees will tell me your every move, Fengzhan warned. I promise I won't. The 17th elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, Boo-hoo. Never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that the sycamore trees that they had relied on for so many years would actually betray them. This was too inconceivable. How could it be like this? Moreover, they already knew that if they didn't surrender, or if they defeated Long Ruoxue and the others, then the sycamore trees that they had raised for so many years would also be taken away. You guys can continue with your work? After Fengzhan finished speaking, he sent a voice transmission to Qingju to send the 17th elder and the other phoenixes out of the space. After busying himself with his master's instructions, Fengzhan returned to his own territory to cultivate as well. Recently, his master's beasts had been cultivating diligently as well, so he naturally couldn't fall behind the beast queen. After Fengzhan and the other beasts left, Lin Liang looked at the few old men beside him and said, I've decided to continue my seclusion. I can't be left behind by old Long. I also want to enter seclusion. The old man also spoke of his decision. Let's continue our seclusion then. The disheveled old man and the other two's gazes clashed as they said in unison. Since they were tempted, they might as well take action. After making their decision, they greeted Empty and then returned to their respective rooms to enter seclusion. Seeing that he and Icy were the only ones left in the lively garden, he could not help but sigh softly. Boo-hoo, when would Schwerer and the others come out of seclusion? Ever since Schwerer decided to go into seclusion, the space had been in a craze for cultivation. All the people and beasts were busy cultivating, so this place seemed much quieter. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. After another 3 months, there was finally some movement in the purple bamboo house where Long Ruoxue and the freak were. Empty, who had been sitting on the stone bench in front of the purple bamboo house, couldn't help but look towards the door with a face full of anticipation. After waiting for a while, the commotion stopped again. Sigh. So it was a false alarm. Boo-hoo. Empty was very sad. The consequences are very serious. However, just as he was feeling melancholic, the door to the purple bamboo house suddenly opened. The two people he had been looking forward to for a long time finally walked out of the house hand in hand. You guys are finally willing to come out, Empty said with a bitter face. At this moment, he looked like a little wife who had been abandoned by someone. Chapter 737. The Dragon Clan that followed suit. 3. That's right. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruoxue's forehead as she helplessly said, Sigh. What kind of expression is that? In reality, Shed entered into closed-door cultivation this time for the sake of absorbing even more spirit energy to prepare for her advancement into the mystic sovereign realm. However, Shed never imagined that after Shed cultivated the heaven-defying skill to the 5th level, the spirit energy required would be at least twice as much as before. Otherwise, she wouldn't have used such a long time. Alas, what a pitiable spirit energy. Fortunately, the spirit energy here was sufficiently dense, otherwise, she would really be unable to find a way to fill that bottomless pit. However, after she advanced into the mystic sovereign realm, the spirit energy Shed painstakingly stored during this period of time would probably be depleted again. Schwerer, when do you plan to advance? Empty asked. Let's wait for grandfather and the others. After cultivating for so long, I think they're about to come out of seclusion. Long Ruoxue said after thinking for a while. Then, she sensed the condition of her own beasts. Oh, the beasts were also in seclusion. That's fine too. By the way, the Phoenix Clan's elder who were in deep sleep have already woken up. However, I didn't ask Qingju to let them in. Right now, Feng Miao and the others are accompanying them outside. Elder explained. Oh, let's go out and take a look. Lung Ruoxue changed her mind and brought the freak and empty out of the bracelet. Miss, you've come out of seclusion. The moment Long Ruoxue and the other two appeared in the parasol forest, Feng Miao sensed her aura and immediately ran out of the house, looking at her with joy.
Amen.
Lung Ruoxue nodded, and then she turned her gaze towards the middle-aged beautiful woman that walked out from the room with Feng Miao. This woman seemed to be around 40-plus years old, and she was extremely beautiful. She was 70% similar to Feng Miao, and the aura on her body was restrained. Merely based on her appearance, it was practically impossible to discern this woman's cultivation. However, no one was able to overlook her existence. Oh, this woman ought to be Feng Miao's mother. Miss Long, thank you for taking care of my daughter. Feng Wu bowed. Her attitude was proper and neither servile nor overbearing. That was why Long Ruoxue had a good first impression of her. Only someone like her deserved to be the head of the Phoenix clan. That Feng Yun was nothing compared to this woman. She's my subordinate, it's only right for me to protect her, Long Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Anyone that she recognized was her subordinate, so she couldn't bully others. Miss Long, I'm willing to accept you as my master. I wonder if you're willing to give me this chance? Feng Wu volunteered. She knew that Lung Ruoxue's subordinates had all signed master-servant contracts with members of the Phoenix clan, but she couldn't blame Lung Ruoxue for that. After all, her own clansmen had offended Lung Ruoxue. Moreover, she had heard her daughter talk a lot about this human woman. Hence, from her perspective, she really admired Lung Ruoxue. It would be nice to have such a master. All right, you can sign the contract. Lung Ruoxue didn't argue. She had quite a good impression of this fire phoenix. Oh, okay. Feng Wu was surprised by Lung Ruoxue's words, but she quickly realized what was going on. Since her future master had asked her to sign the contract naturally wouldn't be a master-servant contract. At that thought, she signed the sole contract without hesitation. As the rules of the contract descended, the contract was officially established. Feng Wu greets you, master, Feng Wu said in a very formal voice. Well, that was great. With master around, she wouldn't have to worry about her own life anymore. Feng Wu, as my beast, you don't have to be so polite in front of master, Lung Ruoxue reminded her. She and her beast were like family.
Yes.
Of course Feng Wu knew that. However, she had to be polite since it was her first time. Feng Wu didn't want her master to think that she didn't respect her. Feng Wu, you've been awake for a while now. I want to know what the other phoenixes are thinking. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. In fact, the phoenixes she had tamed before were only small shrimps. The real big lobsters were all sleeping. The phoenixes that had fallen asleep were the true strength of the phoenixes. Moreover, from what the 17th Elder and the other phoenixes said, unless it concerned the safety of the Phoenix clan, it was impossible to wake them up. However, the Phoenix clan had been subdued too quickly this time, so they didn't have time to ask for help at all. Furthermore, it wasn't them who asked for help. These old phoenixes that had been sleeping for a long time would wake up. After all, waking up required time, and the price they had to pay to wake up was also very high. Because once these old phoenixes were awakened, it also meant that their time of death was coming. Master, they want to see you first, Feng Wu said after some thought. Those seniors were different from her. She didn't want to be separated from her daughter because her daughter had decided to follow them. However, the seniors in the clan would rather die than acknowledge her as their master. Hence, she wasn't sure of their intentions. Sure. Lung Ruoxue nodded. To let them know right away, Feng Wu said anxiously. She then left the forest in a hurry. Half an hour later, Feng Wu returned. Master, the seniors have all arrived. Feng Wu reported and introduced the person behind her to Lung Ruoxue. After both sides nodded their heads, they began to size each other up. After a while, a middle-aged man spoke very politely. Young Lady Lung, we wish to see Feng Zhan. Is that possible?
Sure.
With a thought, Lung Ruoxue brought Feng Zhan out from the bracelet. Feng Zhan, who had just exited the space, couldn't help but feel a bit lost. However, when he saw Lung Ruoxue, He quickly threw himself into her arms and affectionately rubbed against her. After that, he contentedly stood on her shoulder. As for the others, they were completely ignored by him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The seniors of the Phoenix clan were all very embarrassed and looked like they wanted to cry but had no tears. This little guy only cared about his master. It really made them sad. However, as expected of the bloodline of a king, he was already a level 2 transcendent divine beasts at such a young age. They were very gratified. Therefore, they were not that sad about being ignored. Fengzhan, they want to see you. Lung Ruoxue pointed at a group of old phoenixes with bitter faces not far away. I don't even know them? Fengzhan said somewhat helplessly. Chapter 738. The Dragon Clan that followed suit, 4. And its words made a few of the old phoenixes who had lived for God knows how many years sad. Boo-hoo. How could Little Master forget them? Thinking back, they had even hugged him when Little Master was still an egg. Little Master, you really don't remember us? An old phoenix sobbed. Should I remember you? Fengzhan's face was filled with bewilderment. However, he did indeed have a feeling of déjà vu towards this old phoenix. It was just that he really couldn't remember. Fengzhan, I was one of the Phoenix King's guards back in the day. I even took care of you for a period of time. The old phoenix was heartbroken and couldn't stop crying. Oh, I seem to have some recollection, Fengzhan hurriedly said. Actually, he still hadn't recalled it. After all, he was still too young back then. Little Master, do you still remember me? I'm also the Phoenix King's guard, and I've taken care of you before. Another old phoenix also spoke with an expectant expression. Boo-hoo. That egg back then was already a second-level transcendent divine beast now. Time really passed so quickly. In the blink of an eye, Little Master had grown so big. Time didn't spare beasts. He couldn't help but sigh. I have some impression of you too, Fengzhan said perfunctorily. However, his words made the old phoenix abnormally happy. He was just short of dancing with joy. Schwer, it looks like it's going to be a family reunion, the freak whispered in Schwer's ear.
Amen.
Lung Ruoxue nodded her head and helplessly said, Sigh. She never thought that one of these old phoenixes would be the guard of her mother. Was this fate? Or was this world too small? After a long time, the reunion finally ended. An old phoenix spoke on behalf of everyone. Miss Long, since Little Master has acknowledged you as his master, you will naturally be our master in the future. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. These old phoenixes had lived for who knows how many years. Not only were they powerful, but they were also experienced and knowledgeable. There would definitely be only benefits to having them as her subordinates. As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, dozens of slumbering old phoenixes took the initiative to sign a soul contract, officially acknowledging her as their master. After the contract rules disappeared, Lung Ruoxue slightly sensed the connection between them and felt very satisfied in her heart. Oh, Fengzhan really had a lot of face. These old phoenixes actually acknowledged her as their master without a word, causing her to not use any of the excuses she had prepared beforehand. This made her feel a sense of accomplishment. However, it was fortunate that others couldn't hear her thoughts, otherwise, they would definitely die of jealousy. After the contract was successful, Lung Ruoxue moved all the phoenixes into her bracelet and arranged for the 17th elder to show them around their new home in the future. However, she wanted to wait for her grandfather and the others to come out of seclusion before leaving, so those old phoenixes could only temporarily stay in the Phoenix Forest. After those old phoenixes' lives were satisfied, they took the initiative to take on the training mission. Of course, it was mainly to nurture a group of loyal and powerful beasts for their master. After all, most of their master's beasts were too weak, which made them very dissatisfied. Therefore, all of Lung Ruoxue's beasts, whether they had already come out of seclusion or were still in seclusion, whether they were contracted or not, were gathered together. They would undergo demonic training in the day and continue cultivating at night. Just like that, day after day of training, in less than half a year, Long Ruoxia's beasts had all advanced. Feng Zhan advanced 3 levels consecutively and directly became a level 5 transcendent divine beast. Charm also advanced 3 levels and was currently a level 4 transcendent divine beast. Baby, Quill, Dazzle, Rise, Silver Wing, and the other beasts advanced to level 2 transcendent divine beasts respectively. All the Silver Wolves and Feng Zhan's clansmen also advanced to level 1 super transcendent divine beasts. Even though White Dawn only advanced 1 level and was now a level 6 transcendent divine beast, he was still the strongest among all the beastmen. Meanwhile, the 2 hairy beasts and Little Peacock had also advanced to level 5 transcendent divine beasts. During this period of time, Long Ruoxia held several birthday parties for the beasts celebrating their birthdays. In addition, she also held a birthday party for herself. Because her grandfather and the others had yet to come out of seclusion, she originally wanted to forget about it. However, when she thought about how there were still so many beasts who wanted to celebrate her birthday with her, not to mention that the Freak and Empty wanted to celebrate her birthday with her, so she held a group birthday party. That lively scene made those old phoenixes who already didn't know what birthdays were envious to the extreme. Looking at their fervent gazes, Long Ruoxia promised them that she would hold a birthday party for them as well. Only then did she appease those old phoenixes. In the bracelet. Sigh. Long Ruoxia, who was sitting on the stone bench, sighed heavily, causing the Freak beside her to be confused. Schwer, what's wrong? Weren't you very happy a few days ago? Why are you so sentimental today? The Freak's beautiful face was filled with confusion. I've aged another year. Long Ruoxia said helplessly. Sigh. Time passed so quickly. In the blink of an eye, she had been in this world for more than 3 years. Even though it wasn't a long time, she had gained kinship, love, and friendship. This was the rarest thing. Schwer, you're just a kid who just celebrated your 19th birthday a few days ago. How dare you say that you're old in front of me? Are you trying to anger me to death? Empty pretended to be unhappy. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Calm, thanks. I didn't say you're old. I only said that I've aged another year. Long Ruoxia quibbled. Sob. Not many women like to celebrate their birthdays. We are cultivators. Age is nothing to us. We don't need to care too much about it, Empty said helplessly. Oh, that's true. Long Ruoxia nodded in agreement. Actually, she missed grandfather and the others. Suddenly, there was a fluctuation in the space. Long Ruoxia was delighted and said happily, Grandfather and the rest have finally emerged. Schwer. After Long Qingtian came out of the bamboo house, he looked at his precious granddaughter not far away and was extremely happy. Grandfather. Long Ruoxia threw herself into her grandfather's arms like a swallow throwing itself into the forest. She gently rubbed against him and said coquettishly, Yes, yes, my dear baby. Grandfather misses you to death. Long Qingtian said as he tightly hugged the baby in his arms. He knew that this should be the longest time he and the others had been in seclusion. However, he didn't want that to happen either. They obviously couldn't come out of seclusion without breaking through the barrier. Schwer, didn't you see your brother? Lung Ruhan, who had been waiting for a long time, was jealous of his grandfather. Why did his precious little sister only see his grandfather? Sob, so sad. Chapter 739. The Dragon Clan that followed suit. 5. Brother, don't be anxious. Long Ruoxia said helplessly as 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Then, she threw herself into her brother's arms from her grandfather's embrace, making him happy. However, her grandfather, who had yet to hug her enough, was unhappy again. Long Ruoxia was at a loss. But when she accidentally looked up and saw the teasing look in her grandfather and brother's eyes, she realized she had been bullied by them. They were too evil. Haha. Seeing Long Ruoxia's depressed expression, the grandfather and granddaughter couldn't help but laugh happily. Grandfather, brother, you guys are too bad. Long Ruoxia pouted and complained unhappily. Haha. Everyone laughed. Is it very funny? Lung Ruoxue lightly asked, her beautiful eyes filled with warning. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. Feng De hurriedly said. Boo. They were a little too smug. It's not funny. It's really not funny. Cheng Wu and the others also said knowingly. Oh, Miss was probably shy. All of you can advance now, right? Lung Ruoxue sized up Feng De and the rest with her beautiful eyes and changed the topic.
Yes.
Everyone nodded heavily, the joy on their faces overflowing. Hee. The spirit chi in the space was so dense, and they had cultivated for so long. In addition to the acceleration of time, if they still could not advance, then they were too lousy. Since that's the case, then let's quickly advance. Lung Ruoxue urged. Hee. She had been waiting for them.
And
Everyone nodded. Then, Lung Ruoxue thought for a moment and moved them out of the bracelet. After taking out the bracelet, Lung Ruoxue looked at the surrounding sycamore trees and said to her grandfather, Grandfather, let's advance here. With the protection of the sycamore trees here, it was much safer than any other place outside. No one could enter even if they wanted to. Moreover, this place was big enough for them to advance together. Okay. Lung Qingtian, the filial grandpa, naturally followed whatever his granddaughter said. Lung Ruoxue and the rest summoned their beasts. As there were too many of them, they could only stay in the forest in their transmogrification states. As for Lung Ruoxue and the others, they each found a place to sit. After sitting cross-legged, they began to break through one after another. Not long after, the Heaven-Earth Law arrived one after another and continued for a very long time. Due to the large number of people advancing, the scene of the advancement was incomparably grand. Even the old phoenixes, who were used to seeing big scenes, were speechless when they saw this dazzling and spectacular scene. After Lung Ruoxue and the others finished their advancement, the beast tide started again. Because the advancement of Lung Ruoxue and the others led to the advancement of their respective beasts, and after the beasts advanced, they started to give back to their masters. So, after a grand banquet of advancement, no matter if it was humans or beasts, all of them were incomparably happy. Among them, Lung Ruoxue obtained the most benefits. Who asked her to have so many beasts? Not only did she advance to become a mystic sovereign, but the beasts also advanced. White Dawn became a level 7 Transcendent Divine Beast. Fengzhan was a level 6 Transcendent Divine Beast. Mei was a level 5 Transcendent Divine Beast, and Darling was a level 3 Transcendent Divine Beast. All the Silver Wolves and Fengzhan's clansmen also advanced one level each. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. In short, they were all extremely happy. After advancing, everyone had a good celebration. Young Miss, I really didn't expect that I would actually have the chance to advance to become a mystic supremacy in my lifetime. I'm really too happy. At the dining table, Chengwu had tears in his eyes as he spoke excitedly. He didn't have much of a background and frequently traveled alone, so had always felt that he was very satisfied to be able to become a mystic sovereign. However, he never imagined that He'd actually encounter a benefactor. After following young Miss, He'd obtained medicinal pills, equipment, and even less to worry about beasts. Otherwise, just these extremely expensive things would make him poor. Alas, no matter how rich a mystic sovereign was, they couldn't afford to spend money on these things. However, he couldn't do without these things. Chengwu, now that you are a mystic supremacy, you should know that mystic supremacy is not the end point of cultivation. Therefore, you still have to work hard on cultivating. Empty reminded him. Yes, I know. Chengwu nodded, his gaze unusually firm. All right, stop sighing. Today should be a happy day. Lung Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore and said, Oh, she didn't like the slightly oppressive atmosphere. Furthermore, she didn't need their gratitude because since she had already acknowledged them, they were her family. Alas, unfortunately, those old geezers aren't here. Lung Qingtian sighed. If he counted the time, then it had been over a year since Head met those old fellows. Moreover, it seemed like those old fellows had already left their closed-door cultivation when they were in closed-door cultivation. However, When he saw that they were in closed-door cultivation, then they'd gone back into closed-door cultivation. Alas, he didn't know when he would be able to meet them. Grandfather, they are already mystic monarchs. They should come out of seclusion soon to meet us. Lung Ruoxue comforted him. Sigh. Grandfather and the others had been in seclusion for almost a year. Hopefully, Grandfather Lin and the others would come out soon. Otherwise, Grandfather would definitely become a friend-seeking stone. I'm still counting on those few old fellows to fight side by side with me, Lung Qingtian said with a face full of anticipation. He was finally the mystic sovereign. He could also be considered a powerhouse in this boundless heaven continent. Furthermore, Cheng Wu and the rest advanced to become mystic supremacy again. Therefore, he could finally relax completely. Grandfather, that day will come, Lung Ruoxue promised. It's getting late. Everyone should rest early. We'll be leaving Phoenix Forest tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue said to everyone.
Yes.
Everyone nodded. They were almost done eating. After everyone was done eating, Fengda and the others cleaned up a little, then went back to their rooms to rest. The next day, after Lung Ruoxue brought everyone and the members of the Phoenix clan away from the bracelet, she thought for a moment and stored all of the sycamore trees in the Phoenix forest into the bracelet. Before this, the 17th Elder and the other Phoenixes had already moved all of the Phoenix clan's collections into the space and handed them over to Qingju for safekeeping. Fengda and the others were speechless. However, whatever the miss said was the truth. As a filial subordinate, it was always right to listen to the Mississippi. Everyone moved together. Soon, they set up several tents and started a fire for lunch. The dragons who had been following them were very happy to see them stop. One of the dragons even reported back. Schwer, are you waiting for food to drop from the sky? With his divine sense, he could naturally sense the small movements of those dragons. However, they were just a few small dragons and were not worth taking to heart. TM waiting for the dragon to drop from the sky. Oh, I wonder how the dragon meat tastes? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with curiosity. Fengda and the others finally understood what was going on after overhearing Lung Ruoxue and Empty. After all this time, Miss wanted to catch a dragon. Moreover, she was afraid that those stupid dragons would find it hard to find them, so she specially chose a fixed place to stay. Oh, the young miss was too kind. Miss, do you want me to catch a dragon? Well, no, after we try it, Cheng Wu said softly. The few dragons following them were only level 3 or 4 transcendent divine beast. Therefore, they were more than enough to deal with them. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded in agreement. Master, you aren't really planning on eating dragon meat, right? Feng Wu asked somewhat uncertainly. Master was definitely the first person in the boundless heaven continent to dare to eat dragon meat. I do have that idea, but I want dragon blood more, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Compared to dragon meat, she preferred dragon blood that could be used for refining weapons. Oh, looks like I can get quite a lot of dragon blood today. Master, leave this small matter to us. Cheng Wu and Song Di looked at each other before saying. After saying that, the two of them quietly sneaked to the side of the few dragons that stayed behind. When they weren't paying attention, they knocked them out and took them away. Bang! Cheng Wu and Song Di casually threw the heavy objects in their hands, causing the dragons to fall to the ground. Luckily, they were not in their strongest state. Otherwise, Cheng Wu and Song Di would not have been able to carry them. Not bad, even though it's a bit small. Looking at the unconscious little dragons in front of her, Lung Ruoxue said with dissatisfaction, Master, even though they're in a semi-formed state now, there's enough dragon blood. Feng Wu observed them for a moment and then told the truth. Bring me dragon blood. Lung Ruoxue took out a pile of white jade porcelain bottles from her ring and handed them to everyone. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Yes. Chang-Woo and the others looked at the hundreds of porcelain bottles in front of them and couldn't help but mourn for these dragons for 3 seconds. Sigh. Poor dragons. I wonder if the dragon blood on their bodies is enough to fill these bottles. Schwer, I'm afraid the blood on these dragons won't be enough to fill your bottles, right? Empty said everyone's suspicions. Boo-hoo. He felt that even if the blood on these dragons had dried up, they probably wouldn't be able to hold more than half of the bottles. It doesn't matter. If there's a dragon, isn't it going back to look for helpers? In a while, there will even be dragons coming to give me blood drops. Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. She had already planned everything in her heart. Hee, hurry up and get their blood. Lung Ruoxue added. Okay. Everyone answered and divided the 3 dragons on the ground. Then, everyone took out a dagger from their rings and stabbed it into their thick skin. Clang! Changwoo's dagger broke. Damn it! Why is this skin so thick? Changwoo was furious. It seemed like ordinary daggers would not work. Thinking of this, he took out a sacred artifact dagger that his miss had given him. Oh, he had never been willing to use this dagger. Today, he was going to test it out with these few dragons. Then, he angrily stabbed the dragon's body. Chapter 741. Supreme Siblings, 1. The dagger stabbed into the dragon's body, and dragon blood flowed out along the blade. Changwoo saw this and immediately pulled out the saber and placed the small jade bottle in his hand on the wound to generously accept the dragon blood. The others did the same after a while. Ouch! The 3 unconscious dragons, whose bodies had been stabbed into a beehive, finally woke up from the pain. When the 3 dragons opened their eyes and saw the situation in front of them, they were so angry that they almost fainted again. Boo-hoo! Their bodies were tied up like dumplings, and there were many small wounds on their bodies. Moreover, blood was flowing out nonstop. What was even more despicable was that these humans who didn't know life from death actually used the bottle in their hands to take the blood that was flowing out. It was really unbearable. Dragons couldn't bear it. As noble dragons, when had they been humiliated like this by humans? However, they were helpless now. They couldn't do anything to these humans at all, and could only let them do whatever they wanted. Boo-hoo. They wouldn't die, right? They might not have a high status in the clan, but their will to live was still very strong. Therefore, they didn't want to die. However, according to the blood flow, they would probably die from excessive blood loss even if these humans didn't kill them. Don't be scared. I won't kill you. Lung Ruoxue comforted them with a smile after sensing the fear of the 3 dragons. The words "I'm a good person" were written on her beautiful face. Boo-hoo! A relatively timid dragon cried when it heard Lung Ruoxue's words. Boo-hoo! This woman was a demon. Didn't she not kill them for the precious dragon blood on their bodies? They didn't know if crying was contagious. After one dragon cried, the other 2 actually cried bitterly. Boo-hoo! They also understood that it wouldn't be so good to live. I already said I won't kill you. Why are you still crying? How dare you follow me like this with your little guts? Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas, she really didn't know why these cowardly dragons were following her. However, they were a little too timid. You won't kill us, but you will torture us. A dragon whispered bravely. No, they'll just take some blood from time to time. Lung Ruoxue threatened with a smile. Kill us. One of the dragons couldn't take it anymore. Boo-hoo. Taking dragon blood alive was more uncomfortable than killing them directly. Moreover, according to this human woman, she wanted to take some blood from time to time. It was really too despicable. The 3 dragons didn't dare to be angry, but didn't dare to say anything. Boo-hoo. Just give them a quick death. Haven't you heard of a saying, better to die than to live? You can't be so spineless as a dragon. Isn't it just some blood? You can still be reborn if it's gone, but if your lives are gone, you won't be able to live anymore. Lung Ruoxue advised, patiently seeing that a dragon was suicidal. Human, you better let us go. Otherwise, the dragon race won't let you go. At this moment, another dragon reminded as if it was returning to its death. Well, It could also be considered a threat. Is that so? Why won't the dragons let me go? Lung Ruaksha's face was full of curiosity. Hee. She had wiped out the entire Phoenix clan, so she naturally didn't care about the dragons. No one on the boundless heaven continent dares to offend the dragon race. Anyone who provokes the might of the dragon race is no longer in this world. The dragon continued. Is that so? In fact, it's not impossible for me to let you go. As long as you tell me why you're following us, they'll let you go. Lung Ruashue began to state her conditions. Anyway, she had almost obtained the dragon blood from the 3 dragons, so let them go. After all, the dragons were too gluttonous. She didn't want to raise a few idle people just to obtain some blood. That would really be too much of a loss. Moreover, she could go to the dragons at any time if she needed dragon blood. Hee. Really? The dragon asked doubtfully, its pitch-black eyes full of disbelief. Of course it's true. I won't lie to beasts. Moreover, you have to spend money to raise me. It's not worth it. Lung Ruashua said honestly. In fact, we don't know why we're following you. This is an order from the top. We're just running errands. Boo-hoo. Let us go. The dragon pleaded with a bitter face. Lung Ruashua was a little depressed after hearing what the dragon said. These dragons didn't know why they were following them after all this time. However, several teams of dragons were arranged to look for you. We were only responsible for monitoring outside the Phoenix clan. The dragon continued. Are you sure the order you received was to monitor my tracks? Lung Ruashua asked uncertainly. Well, could these dragons have mistaken someone? Are you Lung Ruashua? The dragon asked curiously. It was not sure if these people were their target, but it knew that they were from the Phoenix clan and were humans, so it followed them. Your mission is to follow Lung Ruashua. Lung Ruashua asked instead of answering. Well, it seemed that their target was really her, but she had no dealings with the dragons of this world. Why were they following her? Okay. The dragon nodded. Who ordered this? Lung Ruashua asked again. Of course it's the upper echelons of the dragon race. However, our status in the dragon race is too low, so we don't know who ordered it, the dragon said very honestly. Boo-hoo. Let them go, seeing that it answered every question. It kept praying in its heart. The upper echelons of the dragon race. Lung Ruashua frowned in thought. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Schwerer, when did you offend the dragon race? The little old man asked speechlessly. Alas, this girl's ability to cause trouble was really too great. Moreover, she specialized in provoking people who were not to be trifled with. I don't know. I've never seen the dragons of the boundless heaven continent, Lung Ruashua said aggrievedly. Master, the dragon race is about 2 days away from here. The 5 heavenly dragon race should be here by the latest if we wait for them here, Feng Wu said after some thought. Oh, then let's wait. Lung Ruaksha's curiosity had been piqued. She didn't understand if she left this place. Otherwise, the dragons would still have to look for her all over the world. Hee. See how understanding she was. Chapter 742, Supreme Siblings 2. Upon hearing this, the 3 dragons understood even without Lung Ruashua saying it. It seemed like they had collided with their target. Boo-hoo. Their luck was really not ordinary good. However, it was very bad to be caught and bled. In this way, Lung Ruashua and the others stayed here for the time being. 5 days passed quickly, but the dragon still didn't come. Little dragon, aren't your dragon race's efficiency a little too poor? It's already the 6th day today. Why isn't it here yet? If it's not here today, I won't wait anymore. Lung Ruashua said while leaning in the freak's arms with a grilled golden rabbit leg in her hand. She looked at the 3 dragons in the tent and ate. The 3 dragons that they had thrown into the tent opened their aggrieved eyes and looked at the grilled meat in Lung Ruaksha's hand with incomparable pity. They were so hungry that their saliva was about to drip down. Boo-hoo. These humans were really too despicable. It was fine if they didn't give them anything to eat, but they actually ate such fragrant grilled meat in front of them. They obviously wanted to glutton them to death. At this moment, they only had food in their eyes. As for Long Ruoxia's words, they automatically ignored them. What fragrant meat! Big brother, let's camp here too. A clear female voice sounded in everyone's ears. Long Ruoxia raised her beautiful eyes slightly and sized up the group of people walking toward them from the road. She was a little displeased in her heart. These people really didn't know the rules. Didn't they see that there were already people here? They actually came here. One had to know that such behavior was very rude in a world where the strong were respected. However, this group of people was quite strong. Apart from the woman who spoke just now, who was slightly weaker and was only a great mystic, the remaining dozen people were above Mystic Monarch. Moreover, there were actually 3 mystic supremacies in their group. Well, Long Ruoxia already had an idea in her heart seeing such a lineup, but she didn't know which super family they belonged to. After these people arrived near Long Ruoxia and the others, they directly set up tents opposite them without even greeting them. "TM sorry. My young miss likes this place. Sorry for disturbing you." A middle-aged man who looked like a leader walked over and said apologetically after setting up the tent. However, Long Ruoxia and the others ignored him, which couldn't help making him very embarrassed. "Young man, do you know what is first come, first served?" The bored little old man couldn't help asking. I'm really sorry. My young miss wants to camp here, so..." The middle-aged man's face was full of embarrassment, and he stopped mid-sentence. What he didn't say was that his young miss liked this place, and it was already very polite of us not to chase you away. "Butler Lu, they came first. You can't chase them away." At this moment, the young lattice voice sounded again. Long Ruoxia raised her eyes speechlessly when she heard this and looked at the woman who spoke. Well, one shouldn't judge a book by its cover. This woman looked pretty and cute, but why did she say so? "Miss, don't worry. I won't do such a thing," Butler Lu hurriedly promised. "Old man, stay here with ease. However, don't disturb my young master and young miss. Otherwise, you will definitely regret it." Steward Lu turned his head to the little old man and said with a threatening tone. He turned and returned to his camp after speaking. "Damn, which family does this top grade belong to?" Feng De couldn't help but grumble. Damn, if it wasn't for Miss Gaze telling them to calm down, he would definitely go up and slap that man a few times. The Long family. The little old man looked at Long Ruoxia and said with a spurious smile, his old face full of anticipation for a good show. What a coincidence." Feng De was a little speechless. This world was really too small. However, this was not a big city. Why did the Long family come here? He couldn't understand. "Miss, I don't think these Long family members are normal. Let's stay away from them," Lu Tao whispered. She hated evil and had a bad impression of these people, so she naturally didn't want her excellent young miss to have anything to do with them. "Lu Tao, wishes are good, but reality is cruel. Even if we want to stay away, I'm afraid they will take the initiative to lean forward," Long Ruoxia said speechlessly because she had already seen the Long family's young lady stand up and walk toward them as she spoke. Alas, Lu Tao sighed softly. What should come couldn't be avoided. She also saw the woman walk over. "Hello, I'm Long Ruxuan. Your grilled meat smells so good. I want to buy some." "Don't worry, I won't treat you badly," Long Ruxuan said very politely after walking to Long Ruoxia and the others. However, for some reason, everyone felt uncomfortable hearing her words. "TM sorry, we won't sell these meat. We don't have enough for ourselves," Feng De said reluctantly after receiving Long Ruoxia's gaze. "TL pay 100 purple coins. Sell me a piece," Long Ruxuan said proudly, thinking in her heart. Well, 100 purple coins for a piece of meat should scare them. Their clothes were so ordinary, and there were so many people, their lives would definitely not be easy, so she specially set a price that she thought was very high. "I said I'm not selling," Feng De said impatiently. Damn, they wanted to buy their special grilled meat for 100 purple coins. Did they think they were beggars? They didn't lack 100 purple coins. Feng De couldn't read Long Ruxuan's mind, so he naturally couldn't hear her thoughts. Otherwise, he would definitely be angered to death because she really treated them as poor paupers. Moreover, she gave them 100 purple coins because she was sure that they lacked money. That's 100 purple coins. I don't know how many pieces of grilled meat I can buy. I only want one piece. Lung Ruxuan's eyes widened in disbelief. She didn't expect someone to refuse her request. No one had dared to treat her like this since she was young. This couldn't help making her proud heart a little unbearable. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Chapter 743. Supreme Siblings 3. We don't lack those 100 purple coins. Feng De roared and couldn't help rolling his eyes. Alas, was this the Long family's young miss? She really had poor judgment. Then I'll pay 150? Lung Rushuan said after some thought. No, we won't sell even if you offer one. 5 million? Feng Das tolerance had already reached its limit, and he directly roared at the top of his lungs. Boo-hoo! How can you shout at me? Lung Rushuan sobbed aggrievedly. 2 streams of clear tears flowed down her beautiful face. Seeing this scene, not only was Feng De dumbfounded, even Long Ruoxue and the others were a little dumbfounded. This woman reigned quite quickly. Moreover, looking at the expression on her face, it was as if they had bullied her. Damn it, how dare you bully my sister? Sure enough, her brother immediately came to her door after hearing Lung Ruxuan's cry. Me? I didn't. Feng De looked at the young man staring at him angrily and pointed at himself speechlessly. When did he bully his sister? Boo-hoo. Even if he looked very honest and easy to bully, he couldn't be wronged like this. Boo-hoo. Dewey, I understand you. You didn't bully my sister. Why is she crying so sadly? The young man questioned. Really didn't bully her. I just told her that we want to sell our grilled meat for money. Feng De explained helplessly. Boo-hoo. He couldn't be bothered to explain if the person in front of him wasn't from the Lung family. Why not? My sister is willing to buy your grilled meat because she thinks highly of you. Not only can't you take money, but you should also take the initiative to deliver yourself to her door, understand? The young man said matter-of-factly. I don't know. Why is that? Feng De asked foolishly. He realized that his ability to understand seemed to be problematic today because he actually couldn't understand this man's words. Brat, do you know who we are? The young man was a little angry because he felt that this man was pretending to be stupid. I don't know. Who you are has nothing to do with me. Feng De said nonchalantly. So what if they were from the Lung family? They had already given them face once just now. Could it be that they would always accommodate you? Even if they were willing, their young miss would probably not be willing to let them suffer. Moreover, their young miss didn't want to acknowledge them. We are from the Lung family, one of the 3 major families. The young man gritted his teeth and glared at Feng De. Even if you are one of the super families, you can't forcefully buy other people's things. If news of this spreads, the Long family will lose all their face, Feng De reminded. He had heard the little old man say that the Long family had very strict requirements for the juniors in the family. We will pay, the young man said with a black face. That's not for sale. If you want to eat meat, there's a small forest not far away. There are many low-level beasts like rabbits and wild boars there. You can hunt them yourself. Feng De reminded kindly. Just want to buy a piece to try. At this moment, Lung Rushuan stopped crying and said pitifully, Boo-hoo. At home, she could have whatever she wanted whenever she cried. Why didn't it work here? She couldn't understand. Miss Long, I said I'm not selling. Go ahead if you want to eat. Don't tell me you can't even hit a few rabbits with so many of you. Feng De rolled his eyes and said irritably. Well, for some reason, he could still explain a little when facing her elder brother. However, he didn't have the slightest patience with this seemingly weak and delicate young lady from the Long family. Moreover, he was even more annoyed seeing her beautiful eyes brimming with tears and tears because it was too fake. But I want to eat it now, Lung Rushuan said. What she implied was that it was a waste of time to fight now, and she didn't want to wait. Feng De was completely convinced. In fact, he really wanted to say, Eat your sister. Boo-hoo. He was very sure that he would have attacked long ago if the person in front of him was not from the Long family. Can sell you this piece of meat, but it will be very expensive. Lu Tao pointed at the fist-sized grilled meat in her hand. It's okay, after all. It's more expensive as long as you're willing to sell, Lung Rushuan said nonchalantly. In fact, she didn't know why she wanted to eat their grilled meat so much. Well, perhaps it was because they were unwilling to sell. Therefore, she had to buy it even more. She was from the noble Long family, 100,000 purple coins. No bargaining, Li Tao said after some thought. She was still a little regretful after bidding. Wasn't her price too cheap? After all, the other party was a wealthy Long family. What? You're killing me. How dare you ask for 100,000 purple coins for such a small piece of meat? The young man's eyes widened in disbelief. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. TM a good child. I don't kill people, Li Tao said with a chuckle. She also added in her heart, well, I don't kill people. You want 100,000 for such a small amount of grilled meat. Isn't it considered slaughtering? The young man was a little speechless. This should be the most expensive grilled meat he had ever seen. To tell you the truth, you will definitely feel that it's worth a lot after buying this piece of grilled meat. This piece of grilled meat of mine took more than 1,000 seasonings and marinated for a night before it was grilled. It took time and effort, so you will definitely regret it if you can't eat it. However, forget it if you don't have that much money. Chapter 744. Supreme Siblings 4. Miss. This pair of siblings might be a little extreme, but they are quite particular. I thought they would snatch it by force. Lu Tao whispered after watching the siblings walk back to their camp. They snatched it for a piece of grilled meat. The mystic supremacies in their team won't let them go even if we don't do anything, Lung Ruashua said understandingly. The three mystic supremacies didn't look at them when the Long siblings walked over just now, but she knew that their divine senses had been observing this place. Why? Aren't those two the young masters and young ladies of the Lung family? Li Tao asked in puzzlement, her beautiful face full of question marks. Family honor. The Long family's upbringing is very strict, so on the surface, the juniors of the Long family don't dare to snatch things by force with their status. However, it's difficult to say in private, Lung Ruashua explained lightly. Miss, will they hate us? Li Tao said worriedly. Boo-hoo. She was afraid that she would cause trouble for Mississippi. What? Scared? Lung Ruashua raised her eyebrows and said with some amusement. No, I'm not afraid. We didn't force you. Li Tao said resolutely after some thought. So what if they hate us? If they dare to cause trouble for us, we can just crack them directly, the freak said nonchalantly. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruaksha's forehead. Alas, the freak was becoming more and more violent. However, there was indeed nothing to be afraid of in the Long family. Lung Ruashua and the others tidied up simply after eating. Then everyone walked into the tents of the 3 little dragons. After entering the tent, Chengwu and the others looked at the 3 dragons lying on the ground and asked, Miss, what should we do with these 3 dragons? Oh, take some more blood and then kill him. Lung Ruashua smiled evilly to scare him. Just as Lung Ruashua finished speaking, she saw the fear and tears in the eyes of the 3 little dragons as she wished. This couldn't help boosting her mood. Well, why did she like to tease these dragons more and more these 2 days? Boo-hoo. Don't kill us. The blood on our bodies hasn't grown yet, a dragon said with tears in its eyes. But your dragon race's efficiency is really too slow. You haven't arrived yet, so I can't raise you for nothing, right? Lung Ruaksha's beautiful face was full of helplessness. You don't have to spend money. We'll pay the child support fee, okay? Another dragon said with tears in its eyes. Boo-hoo. This demon hadn't given them a meal at all for 6 days. He actually despised them. Was there any justice in this world? Child support fee? Do you have money? Lung Ruaksha's beautiful eyes glittered. Well, it seemed like dragons liked shiny things the most. However, would there be good things in their poor appearance? Money? We don't have money, but we can use something to pay for it. With that, the dragon poured out the treasure it had stored for many years from the storage space in its body. These are your collections? Lung Ruoxue looked at the gold, silver artifacts, and shiny crystals lying on the ground by the silly dragon and was a little speechless. Well, the things this dragon collected were really too tacky. They were either gold or silver, and there were also some gems of all colors that were useless to her. Yes, I've been collecting these for many years, the dragon said gloomily. Boo-hoo. Looking at this little demon's expression, it was obviously dissatisfied. However, all its things were here. What should it do? Its blood, its life. How are you going to pay for the child support? Lung Ruoxue turned to the other two dragons with slight disappointment. The other two dragons hurriedly poured out their collections and let their little demons choose. Boo-hoo. It didn't matter if they took these things away as long as they didn't kill them. Lung Ruoxue looked at the trash in front of her with a slight headache and couldn't help but sigh. Alas, these dragons' taste was really too poor. These things could neither concoct pills nor refine artifacts. They were really useless to her. Are these okay? The three dragons looked at each other and asked carefully. Do you want to hear the truth? Lung Ruoxue asked with a light smile. Yes. The three dragons nodded, but then shook their heads violently. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Do you want to hear it or not? Lung Ruoxue teased. Yes. No. The three dragons said in different voices, their opinions a little different. After speaking, they lowered their heads dejectedly. Boo-hoo ha-ha. Lung Ruoxue and the others laughed happily seeing the pitiful appearance of the three dragons. Bad people. Bad people. A group of bad people. The three dragons were very depressed. Boo-hoo. They could finally tell that this little demon just wanted to see them make a fool of themselves. It was really too inhumane. This was a sadistic animal. Miss, the dragons should be here, Feng Wu, who was abnormally sensitive, reminded her softly. She had already sensed the dragons even though they were about 1,000 meters away. Okay, let's go out. Little stupid dragons, I won't make things difficult for you since your clansmen are here. Well, they'll collect your child support fees from your clansmen. Lung Ruoxue said very seriously. Well, she was a good child and would never make things too difficult for these small fries. With that, Lung Ruoxue left the tent with everyone, planning to wait outside for the dragons to arrive. After exiting the tent, they found a random place to sit down and even looked up at the sky from time to time. A moment later, a group of dragons flew over from the north of the sky. The leader of the dragons was huge, covered in golden scales that were golden and bright enough to be a mirror. This dragon was a level 8 transcendent divine beast, and the clansmen that came with it were almost level 8 and 9 transcendent divine beasts. There were nearly 100 dragons in this group. Lung Ruoxue looked at the dragons approaching them and thought to herself, the strength of the dragons should be about the same as the Phoenix clan, but the dragons were 2 times that of the Phoenix clan. Well, it seemed that the dragons could still give birth. The dragons had already descended in front of them while she was letting her imagination run wild. Guardian Een, I'm here to look for them. Please leave immediately since you're not together. Long Hui pointed at Lung Ruoxue and the others and reminded them. Grandpa Een, let's go quickly. This place is too dangerous. Lung Ruoxuan said hurriedly. She was very afraid of these dragons, but she knew that as a member of the Lung family, the dragons would not touch her as long as she didn't anger the dragons. However, she was under a lot of pressure staying by these huge beasts. Therefore, she really wanted to grow a pair of wings and fly far away from here now. Shut up, Een Liang said resentfully. How could the Lung family be so cowardly? Grandpa Een, let's leave quickly. Lung Ruoxuan pleaded again. Boo-hoo. She didn't want to be implicated by others. Those dragons were obviously not to be trifled with. Moreover, the dragon mite on their bodies made it difficult for her to breathe. Miss Xian, you're the one who wants to camp here. Yin Liang reminded her. I know, but I don't want to stay here anymore. Let's leave this place quickly, Long Rushuan said anxiously. She was really afraid that she would become the punching bag of those dragons if she stayed any longer. Guardian Yin, listen to this young lady. You should leave quickly. I have some scores to settle with them, so you should avoid them, Long Hui reminded very kindly. Blades had no eyes. It didn't want to accidentally injure the Long family, so the best way was to let them leave by themselves. Grandpa Yin, let's go quickly. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and pack up, Long Rushuan ordered directly. Miss Xian. Yin Liang was a little displeased with Long Ruxuan's presumption. Guardian Yin, don't forget that I am the young lady of the Long family. You are just a guardian of the Long family. The purpose of your trip is to protect us siblings. If anything happens to us, you will be held responsible. Long Rushuan raised her status as the young lady of the Long family. Her parents had reminded them repeatedly to listen to the three guardians and not to contradict them before they came, and the siblings had been very respectful to these three along the way. However, it concerned their safety now. Therefore, she couldn't let them do whatever they wanted. She wanted them to know that she was the daughter of the Long family now, and the others, including the three guardians, were only servants of the Long family. Let's do as Miss Xian says, Yin Liang said furiously. Then he flicked his sleeves and left while the other two mystic supremacies followed closely behind. Everyone, follow quickly. Long Rushuan hurriedly shouted to the others when she saw Yin Liang and the others leave first. Then she pulled her elder brother along. After sending the Long family away, Long Hu's gaze turned to Long Ruoxue and the others and asked, Are you Long Ruoxue? Would you believe me if I said no? Long Ruoxue asked instead of answering. No, Long Hui said confidently. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Then why are you asking? Long Ruoxue said impatiently. In that case, die. Long Hui was angry, and the consequences were serious. Wait, I don't want to be a fool. You have to tell us why before you kill us, right? Long Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of question marks. Because you killed Feng Yun, and am here to avenge her, Long Hui said with hatred. Feng Yun? Could you be her adulterer? Feng De laughed fearlessly. Chapter 746. You infringed on the rights, too. Shut up. Am not an adulterer. Long Hui glared at Feng De through gritted teeth. Damn, how did I look like an adulterer? I like Feng Yun. Feng Xian is your child? Feng Wu suddenly asked. That's right, Long Hui said with a face full of hatred. Damn humans, they killed its wife and children. It had to avenge them. Long Hui, don't you know that dragons and phoenixes can't marry each other? Feng Wu said with displeasure. In order to maintain the purity of their bloodline, the members of the Phoenix clan had never married outsiders, especially dragons. So what? We even have a child, Long Hui said provocatively. It would have reunited with the Feng Yun family long ago if it weren't for the broken rules of the Phoenix clan. Therefore, it hated the people of the Phoenix clan a little. Feng Wu was so angry that she couldn't say anything. Dragons were so shameless. Fifth elder of the dragon race. Attack since you're here for revenge. Long Ruoxue didn't want to talk nonsense with them after knowing the answer she wanted, and urged bluntly. Long Ruoxue, die. None of you can run away today. Long Hui said confidently. Yes, that's what I want to say too. They'll let your family reunite, Long Ruoxue promised. Well, she couldn't stop them since they wanted to take revenge. However, she also didn't want to die, so there could only be one winner among them. Go, kill these humans. Long Hui was furious when he heard Long Ruoxue's words. Then he ordered his subordinates directly. Yes, fifth elder. The dragons answered loudly. The deafening voice sounded in Long Ruoxue and the others' ears, making their eardrums hurt. TCH, so what if you have a loud voice? We'll still beat you up badly. You dragons. I'm afraid you won't be able to return. Feng De teased with a chuckle. Miss, should we still contract these dragons? Chengwu asked with shining eyes. Well, he already had a phoenix. How awesome would it be if he had another dragon as a contract beast? He thought happily. Anything, sell them if you're not interested. Well, with the strength of these dragons, they should be able to sell for a good price. Lung Ruox's beautiful eyes kept looking up and down at the dragons as she spoke, as if she was measuring their true value. Damn it, you're dead meat. A certain dragon was provoked by Long Ruox's gaze and roared uncontrollably. Do it. Remember, don't waste the dragon blood and dragon scales. I'm useful. Lung Ruoxue reminded her before the fight began. Okay, Chengwu and the others answered. Then they collectively flashed their beasts with a swish. The appearance of many phoenixes dazzled the huge dragon eyes of the dragons. At the same time, it did not stop them from being dumbfounded. What's going on? These phoenixes look so familiar. The dragons were puzzled. Damn it! How dare you betray Yuner? Long Hui was furious as he looked at the phoenixes that appeared in front of him. Because these phoenixes were Feng Yun's trusted subordinates, it had a close relationship with Feng Yun, so it was very clear about her subordinates. These traitors. Yuner was dead, but they had no backbone to rely on the enemy. It was really too despicable. Unfortunately, Long Hu's words didn't receive any response. In fact, the phoenixes were also aggrieved. After all, they didn't recognize him as their master willingly. But now that the entire Phoenix clan had become his, and they had signed a master-slave contract with these humans, they naturally had to stand on their master's side. Fifth Elder Long, this is called recognizing facts. Long Ruoxue provoked with a light smile. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack. Long Hui was so angry that he was about to vomit blood as he roared at his subordinates. Fifth Elder isn't calm anymore, Chengwu said understandingly. Then he gave Fengda and the others a look and attacked first. The two sides quickly engaged in a chaotic battle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Chengwu and the others were agile and kept shuttling between the dragons, so they quickly confused the huge dragons. Well, those dragons were too big, so it was really too easy to attack them. Howl. Ouch. Who poked my butt? Damn it. You despicable humans. Screams and curses sounded at the same time. Chengwu and the others played with these immobile dragons with just a small dagger. At this moment, the dragons really hated their huge bodies. Boo-hoo. They should have shrunk a little if they knew. They originally returned to their largest state, mainly to give these humans a psychological threat, but who knew that they actually hindered their movement now. Moreover, they would immediately collide with their companions, but as long as they turned around in contrast to the depressed dragons, Chengwu and the others were in a very happy mood. Moreover, they hadn't even used their mystic techniques yet. They only stabbed these dragons from time to time, let out some blood, and went for scales. Hee. There was no need to mention how satisfying this fight was. Damn it, what are you doing? Long Hui, who was watching the battle by the side, almost vomited blood when he saw the situation in front of him. Alas, weren't these dragons usually quite powerful? Moreover, they could be considered the elites of the clan. Why were they so faulty today? He felt that he had lost all his face. Fifth Elder, this place is too small. We always crash. A dragon that had just been stabbed said aggrievedly. Boo-hoo. They were really depressed to death. This was the first time they fought so cowardly after living for so long. Can't you fly? Growing wings is just for fun. Long Hui scolded, and the golden dragon scales were so angry that their color changed a little. The dragons were even more depressed when they heard Long Hu's words. Boo-hoo. Did they think they didn't want to fly? These humans were bleeding and removing scales for them, while the phoenixes were staring at them from above. And, with several screams, dragon scales that were larger than a wash basin fell to the ground like paper. At this moment, Long Ruoxue also moved her beasts out of the bracelet. Chapter 747. You infringed on the rights. 3. The transmogrified beasts immediately went straight for the dragon scales as soon as they emerged. Immediately, they saw palm-sized little beasts dragging dragon scales that were dozens of times larger than their bodies, shuttling back and forth between the battlefield and Long Ruoxue. Lass. They cooperated well. The little old man smiled happily with his eyes curved when he saw this situation. Well, so many dragon scales could refine a lot of equipment. Yes, who will be the fifth elder of the dragon race belong to? Long Ruoxue looked at the angry Long Hui and asked with a light smile. Of course it's mine. A dragon's skin is so thick and isn't suitable for girls. Therefore, you just have to rest by the side. Leave that old dragon to me. Empty said matter-of-factly. Well, a dragon's skin was rough and thick, so it should be more resistant to beatings. All right, Long Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas, seeing that Empty was so excited, the battle this time probably had nothing to do with her and the freak. However, such an opportunity should still appear in the future, so she was not very anxious. Him going. Empty heard Schwer's words and ran to Long Hui without delay, afraid that she would regret it. Then he looked at it provocatively and said, I hope you can take a beating. With that, he directly punched at Long Hui, his fist containing light blue mystic energy. When did Empty use his fist? Long Ruoxue looked at the freak with a face full of question marks. I don't know. The freak replied with a face full of innocence. Boo-hoo. Damn Empty. He actually infringed on rights. His fist was his specialty. However, the power of his fist was incomparable. After all, he used darkness attribute mystic energy, and the non-attribute was water attribute. Even though water attribute mystic energy could also attack, the effect was much worse than the dark attribute. While the two of them were chatting, Empty had already beaten Long Hui up badly on the battlefield. Moreover, he kept muttering, Humph. A lecherous dragon who doesn't learn to find a female dragon actually seduced a phoenix. Dragon slag. I'll beat you to death. Yes, beat it to death. Feng Wu, who had been watching the commotion, shouted in unison. Then she couldn't help joining the battle. However, she went to scrape Long Hu's scales. Moreover, more than half of the scales on Long Hu's body disappeared in the blink of an eye, and blood kept seeping out of his wounds. Ouch! Long Hui screamed in pain, but it still couldn't stop the scales from abandoning it. It was simply heartbreaking. Feng Miao, is your mother so violent too? Long Ruoxue, who was not far away, was a little dumbfounded. Well, she had always thought that this was a phoenix with an elegant temperament. She didn't expect her to be so violent. No, my mother rarely gets so excited. I think she slept for too long. That's why she wants to exercise. Cold sweat dripped down Feng Miao's forehead, and she thought, Mother, your image as a virtuous lady is all ruined today. Oh, should I summon those old phoenixes and let them exercise too? Long Ruoxue murmured to herself. Miss, if the ancestors all come out, then these dragons won't have a way out. Feng Miao said with a face full of black lines. Those ancestors, they were all battle maniacs, so it was better not to let them out for no reason lest they cause trouble. She couldn't help muttering in her heart. However, she didn't dare to say this. Otherwise, if those ancestors who had lived for countless years knew, they would definitely pluck all her hair and cook her up. That's true. Long Ruoxue nodded and gave up on this idea. Then she turned her gaze to the battlefield. Bang, bang, bang. After a few loud bangs, the dragons reacted like dominoes and overlapped on the ground one after another. Moreover, every dragon was covered in wounds, and more than half of their scales had fallen. Empty, who was beating Long Hui up, turned back to look at the situation behind him when he heard the sound. Then he beat Long Hui up fiercely a few times, and Long Hui, who had no power to fight back, collapsed weakly on the ground. That's it? How useless. Empty kicked Long Hui and said with slight dissatisfaction, Alas, it was really too disappointing. Long Hui, who was lying on the ground with no intact skin and no strength at all, vomited a mouthful of blood in anger after hearing Empty's words. Then he fainted with his eyes wide open. "You infringed," the freak said very seriously to Wayless, who had returned to their side but obviously hadn't had enough. Empty was stunned and speechless. "What a waste. What a waste," the little old man said with a face full of pity as he looked at the dragon blood that spurted onto the ground. "It's okay. We've already collected a lot of dragon blood today," Lung Ruashua said nonchalantly. "Well, we've profited this time. Lass, what should we do with these dragons?" The little old man looked at the dragons on the ground with a headache and thought, "These dragons are taking up some space." If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. "You must have contracted," Lung Ruashua said, and then directly domesticated the dragons lying on the ground. Of course, Long Hui was an exception. She could let these small fries go, but she would not let their heads go. After training Lung Ruashua, Lung Qingtian and the others each found a relatively pleasing dragon and signed a master-slave contract. After the contract was completed, they each stored them in the B space. After the dragons on the ground disappeared, their vision became spacious again. As for the unconscious Long Hui, since Lung Ruashua had decided not to keep it, it naturally became the snacks of the pythons again. This time, it could be considered a family reunion. After settling all this, Lung Ruashua left with everyone Lung Ruashua, and the others were sitting on the little peacocks back on the way to the dragon race. "Miss, I heard that the dragon race is very rich," Fongda said with a smile. Well, since the dragon race came knocking on their door, of course they couldn't refuse. "Fongda, dragons love shiny things the most, but those things are not very useful to us," Lung Ruashua said very disappointed. In her opinion, the taste of dragons was really too poor. It was fine even if you collected some crystal cores of transcendent divine beasts. At least they contained spiritual energy, but only those good-looking but useless gems. However, those gems might be able to be sold for a price if they were sold. After all, not liking them did not mean that other women did not like them either. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.